Hi guys, Jay here for Full Time Devils for live transfer deadline day stream. Sorry we're a little bit late. I know you guys have been hanging on, so thanks for your patience. And I know we've all been waiting as United fans to find out what's happening on the transfer front and are we going to make any signings. At the moment, it doesn't look too great. We're going to be here for the rest of the transfer deadline day. We're going to be bringing you all the latest moves, not just for Manchester United, of course, but for all our rivals as well. Now, what we're hoping for is some United signings. At the minute, it doesn't look great. We know that Romelu Lukaku is in Italy. He's finalising his deal to Inter Milan, so we'll give you the latest on that. There's also talk as well of Marcus Rojo going to Everton. So it looks like players are going out of Manchester United, but not many coming in. Sky Sports reporting that they're not expecting any new signings for Manchester United. So all the deals that we were looking at, the last-minute deal for Mario Mandzukic, the deal for Bruno Fernandes, it's not looking likely in a minute. There may be a twist in the tail, we don't know, but we will be bringing you all the updates as and when they happen. As I said earlier, not just for Manchester United, but for any of the Premier League clubs. Some of our rivals, a lot of our rivals are making signings, and that's pretty worrying from a Manchester United point of view. We're going to be here for the next 4 hours or so. We're going to have Stephen Howson's going to be on, Adam McCullough's going to be on, we're going to have Gaz on, we're going to have Abdullah going through tactics, we're going to have Angelina, we're going to have everyone, all your Full-Time Devils team, bringing you the latest. But this is obviously about you guys, so get involved in the chat, get involved in the comments, give us a like, subscribe, let us know what is happening, let us know if you hear anything, let us know what you think of Manchester United's business this summer. Have you been happy with it? Because at one point, things weren't looking too bad. We bought Daniel James, good young player. We bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka, another good young player. And then we went and bought Harry Maguire, and you think, okay, defensively looking good. Midfield, not so great. Attack, what's going on there? Then we're letting Lukaku go. That doesn't look too good if we're not bringing anyone in. So let us know what you think in the comment, guys. Are we going to struggle this season? How do you see this panning out if Manchester United don't make any more signings? Let us know as well. What do you think of Romelu Lukaku? How he's acted this summer? Hasn't been great in my opinion. He's obviously on his way now. He's got the move that he wanted. Is that a good bit of business? Will you be glad to see the back of him? Also, let us know as well about Marcus Rojo. We'll keep you up to date with that if we hear anything. It looks like it's going to happen. If Marcus Rojo does go to Everton, we know we've got a lot of centre-backs. We've just brought in Harry Maguire. We were talking earlier, weren't we, in the summer about how the reason we thought Marcus Rojo was playing a lot of games pre-season was to put him in the shop window. And to be fair, he did okay. Now, if he goes to Everton, normally you look at Everton and you think, oh, well, they're not a rival to Manchester United. But if he goes there and does well, they could be a club that are chasing us. We know they beat us 4-0 at the end of last season. They've done some business this season as well. So that could be something to keep an eye on and a little bit of a worry. So do get involved in the chat, guys. Do get involved in the comments. As you can see on the graphic, we've teamed up with Football Index. They're supporting the channel. That's a sort of a football game where you can trade players, earn real money, like a football stock market, so you can put your football knowledge to good use. So you can see there, we've got Romelu Lukaku on the graphic. Is his value there going to go up on Football Index? Now he's getting his move to Inter Milan. Check that out. Don't be afraid to check that out. And obviously, let us know as well what you think of that. I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments here. It's saying a lot of people angry with the Glazers. People saying that they're not happy with the Glazers. Woodward must be sacked. A lot of hatred for Ed Woodward. Also, people asking about David De Gea's contract. Gone silent. Yeah, David De Gea looks like he was tweeting last night, wasn't he, about how he'd had 8 good years here and all the rest of it. It looks like he's going to be staying. Personally, I don't think we need to lose David De Gea. I think that would be a complete disaster. It doesn't look like he's going to go anywhere anyway. We do know, though, today is the end of the transfer window for the Premier League clubs. We know that in Spain and Italy, you can still make moves. So it doesn't mean that if at the end of today's transfer window, certain United players haven't gone anywhere, Paul Pogba, for example, doesn't mean it's impossible for them to go anywhere, because obviously Italy, Spain, those clubs can come in for them. So you need to keep an eye on that. We need to make sure that, you know, we don't just get a thing, right, that's it now. We know what squad we've got, because who knows, would United sell any more players after this window closes? No, we can't bring anyone in. You'd probably think not, but this is Manchester United at the minute. Anything is possible. People are really angry in the comments. People are saying this is not acceptable. Glazers out. We will struggle this season. Lost for words, end of. We need Fernandes, says Orsano. Yep, I thought we were going to get him at one point. Now it doesn't look like we are. People saying 8th. Let us know how you think Manchester United are going to do this season. When you look at it and you look at what our rivals have done, you look at Arsenal, you know, they've come in and they've brought in, I think they've brought in the likes of Pepe. David Luiz looks like he's on the verge there. It looks like Kieran Tierney's going to go there, the Celtic left back. they've made some big signings, and at one point it looked like they didn't have any money. They were saying how they've only got 40 million to spend and all the rest of it, and that they weren't going to do much business. We were linked with Pepe at one point, and then they went and got him, and now they're doing other bits of business as well. And it's a little bit worrying when you look at the sort of what our rivals are doing in terms of Manchester City have gone out, they've spent big when they were miles ahead of us anyway. Liverpool haven't really done a lot, but you think the quality they've got in the squad, it's going to be difficult to Manchester United to get near them. It pains me to say. Chelsea have got a transfer ban. We know that they've had Kovacic, who's obviously was a done deal already, so that's all right. They've had a lot of loan moves as well. Players they loaned out. Those loan moves have ended, so they've come back in. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do this season. Tottenham, you know, they don't really spend a lot of money recently. Last season they didn't really spend anything. They've been doing business. They brought in on Dembele. There's talk of them getting Sessegnon, and even Paulo Dybala has been linked to Tottenham. The player that we were supposedly getting now looks like he could be going to North London. So that's another worrying one, because you look at it, Tottenham were ahead of us, they're spending. Arsenal were ahead of us, they're spending. Manchester United, yes, we've spent some money. We brought in Maguire for 80 million. We brought in Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 50 million. We brought in Daniel James for, you know, not too much, 17 million. Those are decent signings. But when you're looking at, you're letting Lukaku go. We've already let Herrera go and not replaced him. Are you worried? Guys, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think. Do you expect any transfer business? Do you think that what we've done is good enough? We've sorted out the defence. Are you happy with the defence? I think it's personally, I think the defence is okay. What about the midfield? What about the strike force? Could Dybala still move? Someone's asking there. That's someone asking that. Could he still move? It looks like he'll move. It doesn't look like he's going to be coming to Manchester United though. Looks like he priced himself out of that one. We were hearing that he wanted around 400, 350k a week, and that Manchester United weren't going to do that. I think we had our fingers burnt a little bit with what happened with Alexis Sanchez, so we weren't about to do that again. We weren't about to spend big money or in terms of wages on a player who initially looked reluctant to come. I thought the thing with Dybala is he didn't want to come to Manchester United. If he wanted to come and he was keen, and you think, okay, he's keen to come, he's a talented player, yeah, we can pay the wages. But it looked like he didn't want to. It looked like he was being forced as part of the Romelu Lukaku deal, as it was then anyway, because it looked like Lukaku was going to go to Juve, Dybala was going to come as part of that deal. Now all that's obviously gone out the window. Lukaku off to Inter, Dybala could be going to Spurs. So he's obviously had a chat with Maurizio Sarri, who's not convinced him that he is part of his plans, even if he wasn't coming to United. I mean, a lot of people are angry here. People are just not happy at all. It's a start of protest. Smalling should go to Everton as well as Rojo. Don't know about that one. I actually think Chris Smalling's one of our better centre-backs. I know that's not saying a lot of times, but I think Chris Smalling could be a good backup for Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. I think those will be your first two, and I think that then you've got Chris Smalling and maybe Axel Tuanzebe as your second choice centre-back pairing. I think that would work. Should just get Zaha, someone is saying, not going to happen. We were linked with Wilfried Zaha, weren't we, early in the summer, which I actually thought wasn't a bad move. I rate Wilfried Zaha. Whenever I've seen him at Palace, he looked really good. He was a match winner. I felt sorry for him at Manchester United. He came, Fergie's last signing, I think. Moyes obviously didn't rate him. He didn't get much of a chance under Moyes. I think he got like an hour's worth of football or something stupid like that. Had a bit of a tough time of it moving to Manchester. Club didn't really support him. Went out, back on loan to Cardiff, didn't work out. Went back to Crystal Palace and started tearing it up there. Became a massive match winner for them. More or less kept him in the Premier League for about, 3 or 4 seasons. Wanted to move. I thought he could have been a decent move for us. Obviously, that's not happened. You look at it, you think, with Lukaku going out, could we have brought in someone like Zaha? If you're going to have the likes of Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford down the middle, I don't know. Maybe that would have worked. That could have been something that happened. Just looking at the comments here, is Fosu Mensah going to get a chance in midfield since we're like that? Don't think that's going to happen. I think the midfield now, you're looking at players like Andreas Pereira, you're looking at like Fred, almost forget about him at times, Scott McTominay. There's a lot of pressure on them guys. I think those guys are going to have to step up this season because it doesn't look like we're going to be bringing anyone in. We know we lost Fellaini at the almost as soon as Ollie came in, and the Herrera came in. He went as well in the summer. So there's two midfielders. Regardless of what you're thinking about those two midfielders, we were talking about this on the podcast yesterday, whether you rate them or not. Those two midfielders were first team players for Manchester United. Marouane Fellaini was a first team player under Jose Mourinho. So when Jose left, he left as well. Ander Herrera was a first team player under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Whenever Ander Herrera was fit, he played. He was an important part of our midfield. Now he left in the summer, obviously he went to PSG. So that only leaves really of the first team players that were getting games under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Ole Jose. Paul Pogba, who doesn't really want to be here, but he looks like he's staying. And Nemanja Matic. Now, I've stuck up for Matic, and I feel a little bit sorry for him because obviously age is taking its toll. But you worry about him. You look at him in pre-season, he didn't look at the races. You look at him at the end of last season, talk about Everton as well, the Everton game in particular. He looks miles off a pace, his passing looks like it's gone to pot. And that worries you when you're looking at how reliant we are on players like Nemanja Matic, how over-reliant we're becoming on Paul Pogba, and we're not bringing anyone in. It's not great. It's not great at all. I think someone else is saying here, Natalie Brown saying, net spend if we sell Lukaku, Rojo and Matteo Darmian, almost forgot about him, is 20 mil. End of last season, we were talking about how Manchester United to catch the likes of City, who just won a domestic treble, to catch the likes of Liverpool, who just won the Champions League. We needed to go out, we needed to spend something like 200, 300 million. That's the sort of silly numbers that were being quoted. Now, I never thought for 1 minute we were going to go out and buy 9 or 10 players. That just wasn't going to happen. But I did expect us to spend big money. Now, to a certain degree we did. We spent big money on a right back and we spent big money on a centre back. But we've sold players to make up for that. We've sold on the verge or just about doing a deal for Romelu Lukaku. We released Ander Herrera, got him off the wage bill. Looks like we're going to sell Marcus Rojo. So we haven't really gone out and massively invested. We've more or less spent what we've brought in. And that wasn't what you expected. You expected Manchester United to go out and make a statement. You expected Manchester United to go out and buy players that you think can make up the, 32-point difference between us and Manchester City last season, something like that, something silly like that. I think there was the same amount of difference between us and City as there was between us and Cardiff, which says it all really. So, you look at it and it's just not good enough really. And I think the comments are reflecting that. We need to win at least one trophy and qualify for the Champions League next season. Agree, I think that's right. We do need to win a trophy. Gaz Drinkwater's just joined us. He'll be coming on in a minute. Hi Gaz, you alright son? Hey? Yeah. Don't worry, he'll be giving you his insight into this. He looks really happy when he walked through the door and the first thing he heard me say was, it doesn't look like we're signing anyone. He looked like he was about to walk off. So he's going to be, he's off man, he's gone. He's like, do you know what, this is a joke. Someone else is saying McTominay is ready. Jay, your thoughts on McTominay? Matic McTominay. Listen, I rate Scott McTominay. I think he's a decent midfielder. I think he's a good midfielder. And I think he could do a job for Manchester United. We were talking about this again in the podcast yesterday. What worries me is you're just throwing him in. You're going to have to throw him in now into a midfield where, yes, you've got Paul Pogba, but you've got an aging Nemanja Matic. You've maybe got a Pereira who has yet to prove himself at the top level. You've got Fred who has yet to prove himself as a Manchester United player. So it just looks to me like you're just over-reliant on players who aren't proven. You're going to be relying on Andrea Pereira next season. We know he had a good pre-season, but we said this last summer, didn't we? He had a good pre-season. Started, I think, against Leicester. Had a shocker against Brighton, was dropped and never really got back into the team under Jose until Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in. So I'm just looking at the comments here. Sam Clark says, with that midfield, we ain't getting top 4 and that attack still ain't trustworthy. Guys, let us know what you think of the team. What do you think of the attack? What do you think of the defence? What do you think of the midfield? What do you think of Marcus Rojo going? It looks like he's on the verge of a move to Everton. What do you think of that? Are you happy with that? Are you worried? Gaz is just joining us as well. So you're going to get some real insight now.
Other coffee brands are available, by the way. We're not sponsored by Cafe.
I think Gaz can stick that mic on. He's going to be joining us.
Oh, yeah. Which one is it? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never put a mic on before. Producer Nick usually does it for me.
So guys, let us know in the comments. A lot of angry people out there, a lot of people thinking that this isn't good enough for Manchester United. We expected more, didn't we?
What's the rundown today then, mate? What's the latest at the minute? Because I was waking up expecting, I kind of just thought Woodward had something under his sleeve, just something. Gaz, man,
why do you have faith in Ed Woodward?
No, I don't have faith in him.
Do you remember when Ed Woodward went he was in Australia and he went, I'm leaving to do some business?
We can do things in the transfer market that no other team can do, or other teams can dream of.
Yeah, do other teams dream of a last-minute deal to sell Marcus Rojo? Well,
the thing is, I just couldn't get my head around it. Even I know we talk about Glazonomics and we talk about the fact that they want to spend as little as possible, and we all understand that. But I just couldn't understand how a team that had the season we had last season has gone out and had what is our net spend this summer?
Talk about net spend. Talk about net spend. Don't talk about spend. Talk about net spend.
If the likes of Rojo if we get the, I don't know how much we're getting for Lukaku, but it looks like we've got our money back.
Yeah, I think Lukaku, we've put 72 million in there. A lot of these deals are staggered, or not staggered, sorry, it's incentivised, or it's add-ons, or the rest of it. So you might look at Maguire, I think was 80 going up to 85. Aaron Wan-Bissaka 45 going up to 50. Lukaku might be 60 going up to 72. So in answer to your question, we're probably just about, I think someone said in the comments earlier, if we get 20 odd million for Rojo, we're looking at around the net spend of roughly 20 million.
Sorry, hang on. We're getting how much for Rojo?
Money.
We're getting 20 million?
Right, this is the thing, yeah?
20 million for Marcus Rojo.
I know I'm going to annoy you when I say this now, but Marcus Rojo's a good player. Right. He is. He's just, there's two things with Marcus Rojo. He's crazy and he's injury prone.
Yeah.
Now, if you can get him fit and if you can stop him sort of diving in 2-footed every 5 minutes and hurting himself, you've got a decent defender there.
Right.
And in today's market, right?
I dispute that.
All right, go on.
He's shit at left back.
Right, he's not a left back though, is he?
No, but he's crap at left back, so you've got to cancel that out.
Yeah.
So you can't play him as a centre-half partnership, a centre-half two. That's far too risky. Unless you've got an absolute destroyer next to him, it's too risky.
Okay.
He's a centre-half who could only play in a 3, and even then I don't trust him. But I do have a soft spot for any centre-back who's willing to take a 50-yard shot on.
Here you go. Rumours are it's 27 million for Everton. 27 million Everton are paying for Rojo. Someone else has said 25. So it's looking like 20.
If it's over 20, that is an unbelievable bit of business. Fair play. But what's the point in earning the money back if we're not spending it, mate? I don't understand how a club that's had the season we had last season, even with the Glazers, even with Ed Woodward, can spend so little.
Someone saying Maguire was 80 million without any add-ons, so apologies, I've got that wrong. Net spend is 30 million. Let that sink in, says Andrew Hall. Net spend is 30 million.
It's shocking, isn't it? And for the season we had last season, that's a state. And you know what annoys me, right? It's like they took so long with Maguire. Well, it's a transfer we knew was going to happen.
Right, Daniel James, we can forgive how long that took because his father passed away.
Obviously.
So obviously you leave it. Naturally, you leave that for however long he's ready to do the deal. Then we had Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which went on and on.
Always going to join United, though.
Always going to join. And what annoyed me about that is Palace were obviously leaking what we were offering because when it came out, we offered X amount of money and more if we won the Champions League.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And they lauged at us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
You're not even in it, lads. Come on.
Tell you what, we'll give you £500 million if we win the Champions League.
There's no way it was going to be a battle. There's no way it was going to be a battle for us to sign someone like that, though. Like Wan-Bissaka, James, dead easy. Even Maguire, to an extent, we could have got wrapped up earlier in the transfer window. Or we could have had an agreement in place, and then we can focus on the likes of Paulo Dybala or Christian Eriksen. Transfers that do take quite a long time to make happen. There are a lot of money, a lot of image rights involved, but we took so long getting these easy transfers done. We've now left ourselves in a real position now where we don't have anywhere near a good enough midfield or striking options up front because we've lost Lukaku.
There's a lot of anger here towards Ed Woodward on the comments, and I get that, and I've been one of Ed Woodward's fiercest critics ever since I came on the channel. Someone stopped me once in the street and said, why don't you like Ed Woodward so much? This was about 2 years ago, and I was like, listen, I'm sure the guy brings in money and does all the commercial deals. I ain't got a problem with that. My issue is he a football man? Does he know about football? Is he the man that should be saying to Jose or Ole or whoever, nah, I don't fancy
Think about this, right? There was a day a few years ago when Ed Woodward was born and his mum was holding him and she was deciding on what she wants to call him, and she went with Edward Woodward. Edward Woodward.
That's a quality name. You've never seen The Equaliser, the programme, The Equaliser, Edward Woodward. The guy was a quality actor a bit before your time. You're looking at me like, you think of Denzel Washington when you think of The Equaliser.
Was he named after him?
I don't know. But yeah, regardless of his name, the fact is, I don't really think he's doing a fantastic job at the minute, and judging by the comments, no one else does. This is the thing, right? People are already asking, anything on for January? We're already looking at January. It's literally the transfer deadline. The transfer window is open now, and we're looking at the next one because we haven't done what we needed to do.
And also, we've been looking at players who are going to fit this system that we want to play for this season. Say if now, because we've not got a good enough midfield, not got a good enough attacking options, we struggle at the start of the season, already way out the top four, not going to happen by December. They get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then you've got a new manager in with a new system who's going to want to sign completely different players in January. It could be the most chaotic Manchester United season ever, and the last few have been good competition, but it could be the worst. Honestly, mate, I'm all over the place today because I want to be positive, but at the same time, the squad going into this new season, it could be a bad one. It could be a bad season.
Do you have faith in the youngsters?
I don't know yet. I've not seen enough of them. I think Gomez looks exciting, and Greenwood, they're the two obvious natural talents. When you're watching them, they're the two that stand out, and you're like, yeah, these boys could be good. But they're still very young, obviously not physically developed. That's going to take a while to come for them. Tahith Chong, a little bit 50-50 on. He's looked fast, and he's got good movement, but it's not the obvious.
Get Gaz in for Woodward.
No. Nah, don't do that, mate. Don't do that. Look how that's almost overpriced coffee brand going, honestly.
Mate, I give it a week.
I feel sorry for him.
James Cooper. We're just watching Sky here. James Cooper. He's sat inside Old Trafford watching the grass grow. Pretty much, literally. There's nothing happening at all at United, and he's trying to make it exciting and keep us up to date. He said earlier, I think, according to the comments anyway, and what I read earlier on the graphic, that he didn't expect any more signings from Manchester United.
Yeah.
It'd be a massive surprise now if in the next 2 hours and 58 minutes, Manchester United managed to do any transfer deals. I would be hugely surprised. I don't see it happening. I think we've done our business. I think that's the end of it. And I think that, I've had enough, mate. I'm going to get off anyway and leave you.
Absolute state, mate.
Gaz is going to carry on with Angelina. I'm just going to go now, leave you guys to it. Get involved in the comments, as always. A lot of anger, Gaz.
Oh, great. I can't wait to deal with that. Right, vent your anger at me then, I guess, guys. Oh, transfer deadline day. I used to be dead excited for transfer deadline day when I was a kid, I used to be dead buzzing about it because maybe it was because we actually might have signed someone when I was a kid, but obviously not today. Get your comments, keep your comments coming in for deadline day. Can you not get out that way, Jay? You can't fit. That's his problem.
That is hard.
You're not been enough 5 sides. Right, keep your comments coming in, guys. How are you going to react to today's deadline day? It's disappointing, isn't it? Last night, I really did have a feeling that Ed Wood would maybe add something up his sleeve and we were going to see a last-ditch attempt to get someone, which would have been brilliant, but doesn't look like it's going to happen now, unfortunately. But players going out, some interesting transfers, obviously leaving. Marcus Rojo, rumoured to be going to Everton. I think that would be a good move for him. Everton overspending on him, I think. But I think it'll be a good move for him, and I think he'd play well there. I would have probably I thought it would more likely that Chris Smalling might have left, to be honest, to do that. But he's not. Yeah, that's a good point. I thought we would have had more centre-halves leave, actually, to be honest, today. I did think we'd have more centre-backs go, because we do have quite a few of them now. Raish Paddy says this is an utter disgrace. Christopher says, Gaz, I'm sad. Yeah, me too. So the situation now, going into the new season, like I was saying to Jay then, I'm in two minds. It could be the most disastrous, chaotic season in the world, in United's history, or it could be a great season where these young lads who were 50-50 on proper step up the game, and absolutely brilliant for everyone involved. But we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, it could go either way. Your likes of Gomez, this could be their breakout season. Marcus Rashford, he could just keep improving. McTominay has improved every year. Lindelof has improved every year. Luke Shaw has improved. A positive is that we do have players in the team who are improving, the young players, and maybe we have got rid of a little bit of the dead wood. Maybe I'm being deluded. Tell me in the comments. Sterling Game says 6th will be lucky. Now, I'm not sure about that, Sterling Game. You know what? I'm gonna come in with even more positivity right now. Do you think it's an outrageous shout to suggest that Manchester United have the best defence in the Premier League this season? I don't think that's outrageous, right? You look at City and you look at how they're potentially going to be setting up. Rumours that there could be 3 at the back at times, and you're looking at Stones, Walker, and someone like Otamendi as their centre-half partnership, or Laporte, someone like that. Look, there's mistakes in that. There's defo mistakes in that. Liverpool, obviously Van Dijk, I think he's probably the best centre-half in the world, and they do have 2 very, very good full-backs as well. But so do we now. We've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, statistically the best defender in the Premier League last season. We've got Victor Lindelof. For me, he was our player of the season this season. For me, he was our player of the season. But now we've got Harry Maguire as well. We all know what he can do. And at left back, Luke Shaw, who was our player of the season. I have someone joining me right now on the live stream. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
I'm going to be honest, Jay hasn't told me anything that's going on today. So, can
Right.
you tell me who you are and why you're here?
I just got dragged in off the street, basically.
Brilliant.
No, I'm joking.
Okay, we're just dragging United fans in
Yeah,
off the
pretty
street
much.
now.
No, United fan, born and bred, from Salford, Angelina Kelly.
Brilliant. Oh yeah, Angelina, we've had you on before,
Yes.
haven't we? Of course we have. I don't recognise you if you're not in a Skype box, you see.
Okay.
If I see the rest of you apart from your head, I
It's a
don't
bit
recognise
strange for you, yeah.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Well, here on Full Time Devils, we have teamed up with Football Index to support the channel. Football Index is a really cool game where you can trade players and earn real money like a football stock market. I think United would probably be in the red at this point, wouldn't they? Meaning there is a way to put all that football knowledge to good money-making use. So yeah, get involved with that. Football Index, Full Time Devils are teaming up with them. Angelina, how do you feel about today's deadline day?
I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one, I guess, because there's only really been 3 signings. It's a bit, you kind of want to get excited, but then you kind of like, we've only made 3 signings, is there any point? But then United are obviously known for these last-minute deals, so it's a bit of mixed emotions, really.
As a whole, this transfer market, we brought in England's best defender. Arguably, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd say it's England's best defender. Yeah. How good is our team now going into this season? Because everyone in the comments is saying, you're lucky if you get 6th.
Right, okay.
And, you know, I don't know. I think that's slightly harsh.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think it's one of those. For me, with this whole Lukaku situation, the whole Pogba saga that's going on, I think up front, I'm still a little bit kind of nervous that we're putting our faith in the likes of, you know, Rashford, Martial, you know, young lads like Mason Greenwood. But I do have to say that I feel like defensively, we've kind of done the job that we needed to do, in that we needed to have a secure defence. And I do feel like he's kind of ticked those boxes of, we've got young players, we've got hungry players. Yeah, you know what, the younger ones will probably need a little bit more patience, time, but I feel like they've all got their kind of foundations. So I think defensively I'm a lot more comfortable, but yeah, it's one of those mixed bags.
You remember United in the past as well, and there has been plenty of times under Ferguson where we've had nowhere near good enough a midfield.
Yeah.
Like where we've had basically no centre midfielders who can stay fit for a whole season. And you sort of thought that we got away with it because of how good our defence was.
Yeah.
And you got Ferdinand Vidic, Neville and Evra behind you, Van der Sar in goal. It's great. This season, we're going in, and our strongest position, I'd say, is the defence. That puts us in great stead, I think. Like in terms of, it's tactically, if you're struggling in a game and you just need to get out of it with a point, we're in a good position.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think you can kind of argue with the stats as well. I mean, I always say people's names wrong, but the guy from Palace,
Wan-Bissaka.
Thank you, yes. You know, I mean, that stat that came out, I think that last season, he'd had more tackles than any defender in the European elite leagues. You know, those kind of things, you can't ignore that at the end of the day. So I do get what you mean in that, you know, we seem to... I mean, I'm hoping that we're kind of going back to having that kind of strong defensive back four, definitely.
Statistically, he was the best defender in the Premier League last season,
Exactly.
Wan-Bissaka. You've seen him on the tour already. It almost seems at times like he gives players too much space. Like, I've been watching him and you're like, go on, take your winger on, go on, get the ball. And he waits for the last second and then he wins it dead easy.
I kind of like that though, I like that. I mean, and I think that's a really good thing that you kind of want as a United player. You want to be getting excited and thinking things like that and like encouraging them to go on, and then they do it and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we've had a lot of that recently, so I think if he can bring that kind of entertainment, then why not?
Totally. Right, going to get into your comments now, guys, see what you guys are saying. Wolves, Leicester or Everton are going to surpass us. I just can't see that, guys. Wolves have a good team and they play good football. They have a good manager as well. But on paper, they're still weaker than Manchester United, surely.
Yeah, I would think so. And I mean, another thing that we've kind of got to take into consideration is this whole Europe situation. Obviously, we have still got the Europa League, which could end up on these like awful aways that are like in the middle of nowhere or whatever. But I don't think there's as much pressure. So I think we've got a chance to kind of keep up with the top four a lot more. And I think a lot of it will come down to experience as well against the likes of Wolves and those teams, yeah.
See, I'm in two minds about the Europa League, you know, because a few years ago when we actually won it, I remember before it thinking, oh, it'll be fine because we'll have no pressure on it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll play the kids, it's fine, I'm not worried. It won't affect our Premier League season.
But you still get sucked into it.
You do. And then you see Zlatan starting and Pogba starting all the time. And I was like, why are we starting these guys? And then they kept scoring and we kept going further and further. And I was like, no, actually, let's win it. Let's win it.
But then again, I think we have that experience of being able to juggle those things that I think with the enhanced team that we've now got, I don't see any reason why we can't be challenging.
And also, people have a go at me for this. And I've in the past said, I prefer to get to the quarterfinal of the Champions League than win the Europa League. Like, that's a better feeling to me as a football fan. You just feel it's the elite competition. The Europa League, you never feel like it's the elite competition while you're in it. But this season, say if we were to finish just outside the top 4, 5th or 6th, but we see improvements in the team in terms of their actual desire, the tactical nuance, if you like.
Yeah.
And we win something like the Europa League. Is that a good season?
I mean, I think this is going to be a long process. I think we've all established that now. This is not going to be an overnight kind of fix. It is going to take another couple of seasons for us to be properly challenging, against City and Liverpool. So I think providing you can see improvements, me personally, trying to be positive and good vibes and everything, trying. As long as you can see improvements and we seem to be moving in the right direction compared to some of the stuff we've had to go through recently, I don't think you can really argue with that. And if you've got, a decent finish in Europe, a Europa League Cup, whatever, me personally, I would be happy with that.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I agree with what you say there in that we need patience a little bit, and we do, because this is now a 3, 4, 5 year plan at United. Yeah,
but then you can't also argue with people that are frustrated and want to see results. It's one of those, you can't really argue with people that are frustrated and those that want to give it time. It's
when I say that, it sounds like I'm making excuses for United. I'm making excuses for the owners or board or whatever for not going out and spending this summer. Totally not. It totally is a disgrace that we have spent so little. Our net spend is so little, considering the amount of money we make and the football club that we are. But we've got it now. That's what we've got to deal with. This is the team going into the new season. And I think as long as we see improvements and in some way get into the Champions League the year after, I'll be happy. Yeah. And also, let's not forget, winning the Europa League's mint.
Yeah, it's still a trophy at the end of the day.
It's a great trophy. Yeah. I mean, it's obvious. I'm not going to say it's as good as Champions League. Nowhere near. Like I just said, I'd rather get to the quarterfinal of the Champions League. But it's a great thing to win. I'm the same with the League Cup and everything. I want to win it all. Let's talk about some of the players that we've sold already. Lukaku, Herrera, 2 players who are definitely gone now. How do we feel about those guys, and how do we feel about how we've replaced them?
Well, I don't really think we've replaced them that well, have we?
We've not replaced them, basically.
No. Was that a trick question? I always think if someone wants to leave, let them go. There is nothing worse than forcing somebody to stay at a team, watch them unhappy, see the drama, all the paper talk.
Pogba!
Yeah.
Pogba!
No, really? No?
Pogba a couple of weeks ago. Do you remember it? Oh, I need a new challenge, he said.
I know, awkward, isn't it? But it's one of those, and even with him, if somebody genuinely doesn't want to stay, you have to let them go. And I think with Herrera, I know it's kind of mixed feelings about that. Me personally, the way that he went, recognising the respect that comes with the club and all that type of stuff, I think was quite nice.
Couldn't disagree more. The way that Herrera left Manchester United was an absolute disgrace, and I'll never forgive him for it. That video that they put online, you know what it was like? It was like the sort of video that an Arsenal player would do if he's got too good for Arsenal and he's moving to Real Madrid. He was like, thank you guys, but this is a great opportunity. And PSG, they're such a bigger club than Manchester United. No, they're fucking not. I don't even know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but no, they're not. And I found it patronising and disrespectful, to be honest.
I get what you're saying. I do. I'm with you on that to an extent, but I just feel like I can't hate on him, even though it might be a bit patronising. It might not be 100% genuine. He's at least acknowledged the club and he's done it in more of a respectful way than other people have done. That's all I'll say. But, we wanted to go. Let him go. I think Lukaku, that's been dragged out way too long.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I think Italy will be a good fit for him. He's just been one massive paradox for me in that he's had these great goals and these great performances where you've kind of sat up and thought, oh, God, he's doing all right. And then these games where you just think, what is going on? And that, for me, I don't need that stress in my life.
Lukaku, one of those bizarre footballers ever.
Oh, completely.
It's like you say, you're watching him sometimes and you're like, this guy ain't going to miss the target. I'm always confident he's going to score.
It's like emotional abuse. One minute, you're absolutely buzzing over him. Next minute, you want to start crying. So, yeah, I don't need that.
That's not just Romelu Lukaku. That's just United in general, I think,
true.
at the minute, innit? But, yeah. So other transfers apparently happening. Rojo could be going to Everton. More than 20 million we're apparently going to get for him. What do you think of that? About 25, 27 I've seen quoted.
I mean, I'd be happy with that, to be honest. I think just another one, he's not really... I kind of forgot that he was even there at one point, do you know what I mean?
Another name like that's Darmian.
Oh, yeah.
Is he here?
Yeah, is he?
Darmian a football player?
Yeah, for me, another one, just let him go. Get rid of the dead wood, as it were.
Interesting comment here from Porcelain. Gas is why the Glazers can get away with everything. Here we go. The Glazer protesters who only turned up in the last 6 months. If you're going to protest the Glazers, do it when we're winning things as well. Otherwise, you just look like mad asses. Like, I was there on the protest 10 years ago, lads. Realise that they don't give a shit about us as fans, which they don't, by the way. As the sooner you get that into your head, the better. Don't matter how much we complain about them, they do not care about how happy you are as a Manchester United fan, and they never will. They won't. So look, you can say that I'm making excuses for them all you like, but I'm obviously not. I think it's disgraceful that they own the club on borrowed money, and in my opinion, I don't think it should have been legal in the first place. But there we go. Right, more comments. Jasmine says, winning what things? Well, what could United win this season? I think winning the Europa League isn't too out there.
It's not ridiculous at all. I mean, why not? I mean, we don't even know, what's going on in that competition yet. So why not, try and be optimistic about it? The FA Cup. I think with those cup competitions, you never know what's going to happen. Like, there's been some absolutely bizarre games, bizarre results. And I think, especially the last couple of seasons, have kind of taught me, like, you can't really expect things. Like, you've got no idea what could happen. So I like to be try and be a little bit optimistic and think, depending who we're playing, I think we've got the potential to at least give those 3 cup competitions a good go. Yeah.
I think the trophy this season is I'm pretty confident for a trophy this season, to be honest. It's the league campaign that I'm massively worried about, because we know what these players are like. We've seen it last season. Everything could be rosy. We could win the first 10 games of the season and I still wouldn't be confident. I'd be like, it just takes one upset player to totally derail the whole season.
Yeah.
So, guys, keep your comments coming in. I'm interested in what you have to think, honestly, right? I appreciate everyone's comments, all of the comments. I do appreciate them, but some of them are just ridiculous. And I know you're exaggerating, and I know you're joking, but I are guilty, as commented, saying the club is finished.
Okay.
The club is finished because we've signed 3 players, one of which cost £80 million, right? Today, Bury FC had an order to say that they might not exist as a football club in 14 days.
Yeah.
Same thing's happening to Bolton as well. 2 local clubs around here, 2 clubs that, Bolton, we've obviously seen United play in the Premier League many times. They're clubs that are literally finished. They are literally close to being finished, and it's a disgrace that it's been allowed to happen. But United aren't finished. We're just struggling a little bit compared to how we were 15 years ago. That said, I'm not happy, and I think we needed a midfielder at the very least. Which one of the players that we were linked to and we nearly got, are you the most disappointed about?
I think for me, especially with the rumours going around today, Dybala. I always say people's names wrong.
No, Dybala.
Yeah. Oh right, well done me.
Well done.
Yeah, I think he is a very competent, very impressive player that he's good up front, can play in a variety of positions, and I think he would have been a really, really great addition and kind of would have added a bit more reassurance up front.
Yeah.
I think there's rumours about him going to Spurs today. Yeah.
That's not happening, by the way, apparently.
Okay,
That's
good.
the latest on that one. Dybala at Spurs isn't happening. That would have just been...
Yeah, the icing on top of the cake.
It would have just been absolute heartbreak, that. I would have been fuming at that.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most disappointing, but at the same time, we kind of have to understand that, unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have the same appeal that we used to have. In that, unfortunately, we don't have Champions League football at the moment, and for a lot of players, that is a deal breaker, and we're not kind of at that stage where we can 100% say next season we will be in it, so no dramas, come anyway. So yeah, I think that was probably the most disappointing for me, because I have a little feeling, obviously, like, there was rumours of money issues, blah, 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 but I think that was probably, in my opinion, maybe one of the other issues, that we can't sell, you know, European football, Champions League football as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that is disappointing. And I'm in two minds about the Dybala one, because I would say that's the one I'm most disappointed about, because I think if he comes, it would have been like, whoa, right,
yeah.
we mean business this season.
Yeah,
exactly. It turns out we're not just trying to fight for the top four,
yeah.
we are actually going even higher.
Would have sent a message.
It would have sent a massive message. But I was in two minds when I found out it was because he wasn't too interested in joining us.
Yeah.
That we said we didn't want him, because I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's been our problem last few seasons. We've had players at United who weren't there because they wanted to be at Man United.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we've seen Evra say that recently about Dybala. I can't wait to see what he meant by that. Did you see what he put on Instagram?
Yeah, I saw the little upload, yeah.
Evra, like, put a picture of him and all the trophies that he'd run around him. And he said, you've got to play for the badge, you want to play for United, you shouldn't just be here for the money. Or your agent, even. I think he was referring to football agents in particular. And then Paulo Dybala liked it.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on, what? And then someone commented, like, this is about Dybala. And Evra was like, no, I will speak about Paulo soon. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? Is he coming or is he not? But because you'd think they were mates.
You would think, yeah.
You would think. But yeah, guys, keep your comments coming in. I want to see what you think about Manchester United's summer transfer business. Our summer net spend could be around a mere 40 million. What a disgrace. I totally agree. For a club the size of United and for the amount of money we make, it is a bit of a joke. I do think we were... I don't know. Do you reckon that was always the plan? Do you reckon that was always the plan, to have a net spend of under 50 million?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm trying to think what budget do you reckon only got given at the start of this summer, because I can't see how United, in the situation they are, haven't said, okay, 200 million transfer budget. If you sell people, that adds to it, or maybe 100, maybe 200, maybe that's a bit too generous. Let's say 150 million. And Ollie, you go out and sign your players, but you know we're not looking for superstars left, right, and centre. We just want to improve the team. He could have brought in an extra midfielder with that.
100%.
You include the net spend as well.
Yeah, and that's where you can kind of see why people do get frustrated, because, you know, we are always, you know, at the top of all these polls that come in and all this research of who are the most, you know, like massive global clubs. Like, we're always up there, and you would assume that would then mean that we would have the ability to make those signings and do those things. And when you see it doesn't happen, you can see why people get so frustrated, I think.
Totally. But I think, as we all accepted a few weeks ago, I think that this Dybala rumour and the Eriksen rumour sort of changed people's minds on our season, because I kind of thought the general consensus a few weeks ago was that it is going to take a few years at United. Yeah. And we are going to have to be patient as United fans, because we are in a bit of a mess. The squad's totally uneven. Yeah. But now it seems like people are totally kicking off over this summer and saying that this is nowhere near good enough. But I would say that this club is good enough to improve on what we did last season.
Yeah, definitely.
This team is good enough to improve on what we did last season. Yeah. I'd say personally. So that's all we can do, really. Yeah. Improve on the season before, but it's not going to be good enough in terms of, because, like, you know, as a United fan, I want to see us challenging for the title every year, totally. But we've fallen so far behind; it's not an overnight fix. Unfortunately, guys, and you know, we can slag off the Glazers and slag off Woodward, who haven't gone out and spent this summer, which, you know, we do. But yeah, it was always going to be tough for us to go from there to right there.
And I think that's the whole thing, like what we were saying, you have to kind of realise that it is going to take time, but then you can also, you know, it is so understandable why you just want to see us go back to those days, and you just sat there thinking, how long is it going to be until we get that feeling again? So, but so long as, I think, like I say, so long as we improve this season, you know, it's at least a step in the right direction. And
don't get me wrong, we ain't going to let them get away with not spending a lot of money either. You've got to call it out, and you've got to slag it off. I'd be genuinely interested to see just how much money United make and how much money goes back into the team. And
yes.
I mean, we've already seen, we can see it clear as day in front of us, how much we're selling players for and how much we're buying them for. And the numbers don't add up.
Yep.
As United fans, the amount you spend on your season tickets, the amount, you know, you spend on your shirts and merchandise, they don't seem to add up. So it makes you wonder where that money's going, really. It does make you wonder. But yeah, Jay's doing a phone symbol at me. Why are you doing a phone symbol at me? Check my phone. Have we got news? Have we got some news?
You've got news.
Transfer deadline update. Let's have a look. I've got six missed messages from Jay. I'll ask you this, Angelina, before I check my phone for a minute. Which of our rivals do you think have most impressed you this transfer window in terms of their business? Who do you think has improved the most?
For me, I would probably say Spurs. I feel like they have had a couple of long-term targets and Pochettino has gone for it, got those deals done. I know the guy that's come over from Lyon, you know, was kind of highly recommended and well respected over there. And I have to kind of respect the fact that they have had these names that they've wanted. They've gone, got them, job done. Obviously, I know the Ryan Sessegnon thing as well.
Yeah, of course.
But I just think as well, they've gone down the right route of getting these young, talented players that, you know, for them, I'm sure will make a good impact. So.
And I'm sorry, we're just going to go to the comment before I bring Casey in a sec. But there was a comment then saying, if we don't sign, this is what I've got to deal with here, guys. I love your comments, but sometimes there's just maniacs in there. If we don't sign Bruno Fernandes, Ollie out. What does that have to do with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you fucking idiot? Nothing, you moron. Jesus. This is the level we're dealing with here, guys. I'm only joking. Please keep your comments coming in. I really do appreciate them. Spurs had the best window. Arsenal did well too. Yeah, no one saw that coming with Arsenal, did they, late on? I don't know what happened there. But Pepe coming in and Louise.
Yeah.
That is mad. Do you remember that goal he scored in the World Cup a few years ago when he scored the free kick for Brazil?
Yes.
In the quarter-final? Yeah. I was at that game.
Really?
In Brazil, World Cup quarter-final. Genuinely at the game. Yeah, it was the quarter-final.
Yeah.
It was the Colombia game, the game before that, where James Rodriguez scored the volley. Yeah. I was at that one too. Herrera needed replacing, totally. I think all the players that left Herrera, Lukaku, they both needed replacing. Yeah. And they both haven't. So, as we come to the end, it's maybe slightly disappointing. I put a thing on Twitter recently, just like a stupid emoji reaction thing on how I'd react if all the transfer happens, and I just had, in the current situation, just a straight face. Yeah. And I'd say that is what
very
it is.
Straight face, yeah.
Right, okay, really. Like, the minimum we needed
That's why I don't want to get excited today, because I don't want to be let down.
No, we're not signing anyone. No, don't worry about it. No, we might do. Carry on watching. We might do. I don't know. It's looking very unlikely now, though, but I'd say I would have took a midfielder. Yeah. I would have snapped anyone's hand off for a midfielder. And also, now looking at our strikers, right, because a lot of people saying we needed to replace Lukaku, which I was saying as well, but you look at our striking options now, we've obviously got Marcus Rashford, we've got Anthony Martial, who I think will be implemented more on the left, but he can play up front, can play through the middle, he did on tour. Then you've got Alexis Sanchez and Mason Greenwood. So that's 4 strikers. One is a 17-year-old, one who looks not even a quarter of the player he was 2 years ago in Alexis Sanchez. Yeah. And Martial and Rashford are very hit and miss.
I think the whole Sanchez thing is just, I think it's just too much for him now. I think he's kind of hit some kind of wall and he's not got that same ability anymore. And he was somebody, I'm surprised he's, you know, I mean, obviously, I'm not surprised in a way because of the wage that he's on, why he's still sticking around. But he was somebody that I thought, you know, would go. And obviously, I think he limped off a game for Chile, didn't he, recently? So, you know, he's just like the ultimate disappointment, I think, really, for me.
Just getting some of your comments in here as well, guys. Red United View just says Sanchez with a sad face. Could you imagine if he actually was half decent this season?
Oh, I mean, how amazing.
I'm not saying that he's going to be or that he's going to score loads of goals, but could you imagine if he turns out to be like an alright squad player? And when he comes on, he puts a shift in. That's all we need from him.
That's all we're asking for, really. Just, you know, turn up and, you know, do half decent at least.
Exactly.
Better than nothing.
Exactly, yeah. And you know what? We criticising owners and stuff like that and people making the... I think that we also need to criticise the people making the decisions because we talk about how we've not invested enough in the team, which is right, and we haven't. I don't think ever, at any point in the last 15 years. But you've also got to think the wage that Sanchez is on, and that someone else could be on that. So it's not just that we are spending the money in some way, just not well. Yeah. Just not intelligently and just really naively. The fact that Sanchez is still here on that wage is just fucking, honestly, winds me up. Abu says, I hope Sanchez does better next season, don't we all? Liam said top goal scorer, Ashley Young. How many games do you reckon Ashley Young's going to get next year?
Oh my God. I mean,
You can't get too much. Who you're going to have as your backup left back? You obviously got Luke Shaw, and then it might be. It's going to be Ashley Young as your backup full back on both sides, isn't it? Only takes an injury to one of them, and you know they're both going to get an injury at some point.
Yeah.
Where is the magical football director, Gaz? That's a very good point, actually. Where is this director of football? See, now that... See, this is another thing, right? I'm sort of looking at our transfer business this summer, and I'm thinking, well, at least we had some sort of direction. Like, they wanted the young, hungry players who wanted to play for United. So at least they sort of know what they're doing. At least it's sort of organised at the club. But it's not, because 6 months ago we were promised a director of football and they've literally said nothing.
Yeah, literally absolutely zero. I mean, I know there was all that talk of Rio Ferdinand not that long ago, but it's just... It's just bizarre that there was this whole, we're going to find one, everyone was so excited, and then it's just kind of like faded off into the distance and they're just kind of forgetting like they ever talked about it, really. It's pretty strange.
Crazy. You do worry. You do worry with some of the things happening at Manchester United right now.
Yeah.
Gaz, I thought you said we were signing Bale. Firstly, I've never said that, ever. Because I'm not a journalist. And in fact, secondly, I'm not a journalist. I'm literally a Man United fan. If I say we're signing someone, apart from today, because I'm literally watching it on Sky Sports News, I don't know what I'm on about. I'm just a United fan having my opinion, right? That's what a fan channel is. Not journalists, fans. That's the point. Right, couple more comments. Why isn't Ashley old, recognising that he isn't that fast or precise anymore? You should always put the club before yourself. I don't know what you mean by that. Why? What's he done wrong? What's Ashley Young himself done wrong?
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
He's saying that he should recognise. What do you think? He should cancel his own contract or something? I don't know.
Just return the money from this season that he earns, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Hirishi says it's just another boring day. Well, totally. Oh, it could be, but Marcus Rojo could be on the way out as well. Always have a soft spot for a centre-half who's willing to take a 40-yard shot on. Honestly, he never scores them, does he? But fair play, Rojo. I just hope he doesn't injure one of our boys when we go over there and play him. All right, let's have some predictions for the first game of the season against Chelsea. We are recording the preview tomorrow, so there'll be proper predictions there. But what were you saying?
I mean, obviously you've got that we did have a good pre-season with the wins and stuff like that, so you kind of hope that momentum will continue. I think it would be really great if we got a goal in the first kind of 15 minutes. I think that would be really good for not only the atmosphere and the crowd, but the players themselves. That is me being very hopeful. I would obviously, I don't know. I think if we get, like I say, a goal in the first 15 minutes, then with that momentum, that could see us, maybe getting another one before half-time or something. I would maybe go with us getting a 2-1 victory.
Oh! If we beat Chelsea on the first game of the season.
I am being positive. I just think you've got to go in there. First game of the season. We've done well pre-season with these wins. We've got to try and be positive here.
I'm not sure. I think a draw is the best we can hope for in that first game, and I'll be very happy. But more importantly, the performance as well. I want to see a performance.
Yeah.
Angelina, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's been great having you on. Please come back for the previews throughout the season.
I shall, and I shall see you soon.
See you soon. That was Angelina. You'll see her throughout the season, no doubt, on Full-Time Devils. Right, we're going to bring Casey in, I believe, very, very soon. Casey, where are your expertise?
What, expertise?
Go on, expertise, tactics, players...
He works with Stephen Alson.
Oh, he works with Stephen Alson, so his expertise are in being a bell end. I'm only joking. Only joking. Half joking. Right, guys, keep your comments coming in. I'm interested to see what you say. Deep gash wound. That was the name of his channel, and I didn't realise what I said till after I said it. Says 6-0 Chelsea. Don't be too negative, guys. Come on, let's have a bit of genuine honesty. Hut says, if not Bruno, what about Zaha? Not convinced about Wilfried Zaha at a top club, to be honest, mate. We've already seen him at United once. Here's an interesting comment from Big Miz. Matic couldn't handle the pace of pre-season. How on earth is he going to cope in the Premier League? He's a big worry for me, Nemanja Matic, a big worry, because he's going to get games next year. We've not got enough midfielders to stop him getting games. He's going to get games, and you'll just see players gliding past him. You'll just see teams passing it round him. If Nemanja Matic is in a midfield against Manchester City, no way, not happy with that at all. He was a player that I really think we needed to replace. It's the two most frustrating players for me in the United team last season. Not frustrating. The most disappointing, Matic and Ashley Young. Every time they played, I felt like they shocked me with how bad they could be. Every week they got worse. Casey, feel free to come in, mate. Feel free to get involved. So how should I introduce you, Casey? Where are you from?
I am Casey. I'm from Stretford Paddock YouTube channell. I work with Stephen Howson. Oh, this is a bit close to the table because I'm a bit taller. There we go. We're obviously another United. We do United fan channel. We do watch-alongs, all that sort of thing. We've been doing transfer window coverage, probably same as yourself.
Yeah.
And just generally here to provide commentary on.
Haven't you got an interview with Ferdinand out at the minute?
We have an interview, yeah. Steve went down to London with Kieran from our channel, and they both met and had a chat with Ferdinand. So yeah, if you get onto our channel, you can watch that.
Yeah, don't worry, I won't go into what the questions are, but feel free to go and watch that at some point. Not now. Watch this for now, all right?
Yeah, watch yours too.
What have you made of it so far today, then, mate? Were you expecting something, or is this exactly what you expected?
It was one of those things where when I woke up this morning, I saw the rumours. I thought, there's that tiny bit of hope, and you just kind of build on that, and you kind of look at it, and then it gets less and less the more you see random Italian journalists going, it's not happening. So I was kind of, by the end of it, by now I'm kind of at that very low point where it's like, at the end of today, I'll be very depressed. Going on to Sunday, I'll be probably a lot more positive. But at the moment, I'm just trying to take in that, just want this transfer window to end.
Now, I understand why you say that. I understand why you say you'd be really depressed at the end of today. But for some football fans, they might be watching this saying, hang on a minute, didn't you just buy Harry Maguire for 80 million? How can you lot be depressed? How can you lot be so spoiled? We are Man United. We make so much money. We should be doing better than this in the transfer window.
Yeah, because the fact is that Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka were needed last season, and they were probably needed the season before. We're getting these players now.
You're right.
We've been waiting for these players for 2 seasons. This is money that we should have spent 2 seasons ago.
We should have been able to focus on the midfield this year.
And the fact is our net spend, if Rojo and Lukaku go through, is something like 45, 47, 43 million or something like that, which is less. I think it's less than last year. So the fact is when you look,
that's mad, innit?
I mean, someone probably will fact check me in the comments, but when you look at it, that's nothing for a team that's meant to be rebuilding, and then you look at someone like Arsenal, who's apparently got a 45 million pound budget, and they've just basically bought every position they needed. Yeah, questionably a fact of some of the signings in that mix.
I think there were 50-50 with Arsenal's new signings. I think a few of them.
I'd say three out of 4 I'm very jealous of. One, I'm 8 million for David Luiz. Put him next to Mustafi and I can just see chaos ensuing.
Mate, but you know what, right? I can see that with City. And people will say I'm deluded here, and maybe I am. But City's defence, I can see that happening next season, because apparently they're going to be playing Walker as a centre-half in certain games. Now you've brought in Cancelo.
Well, the fact is with City's signings is they've not improved any, but saying that, it's City, they were a lot further ahead, but they haven't improved any. They've just basically been like, Kyle Walker's slightly declined, and so Fernandinho is old. Let's just buy players in those positions who are already pretty good and young, and they'll fix it. And the fact is Cancelo is exactly the same as Kyle Walker. He's very good going forward. I think he had the most take-ons in Europe. He puts in a lot of assists and sort of thing, but defensively he's quite suspect. And Rodri is just basically like Busquets. That's the sort of player that he was touted when he was in Spanish football as the heir to Sergio Busquets. So basically, Pep Guardiola has got the player brought through Busquets, and I was like, we'll just get Rodri. And it's like, yeah, that rotation's just great. Like,
now we can get the regenerated.
and then obviously the greatest signing of all, like Scott Carson.
Yeah.
On a season-long loan.
Can I just say, I absolutely love I absolutely love Scott Carson to see. I love transfers like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why like when we signed Lee Grant.
One of my mates sent me a picture, and it was just a picture of a smug look on Scott Carson's face, and that's the face of a man who knows he's getting like a Premier League medal this season for doing nothing.
Oh, my brother's signed for Burnley as well. We've seen that. Danny Drinkwater has gone to Burnley, obviously ex-Man United player. Not actually my brother. This is the last time I'm ever going to say that because I get comments about it all the time. Weirdly enough, though, we know his dad, which is mad. We're family friends with his dad, but we're not related. I wish we were. I'd have a bit of his wonga, wouldn't I? Deepak, I mean, I know we're all over-exaggerating a little bit here, but he says we're finished. Right, okay, might as well just pack it up this season. Might just pack up supporting United. What's the point? We've had a slightly disappointing summer, but I think this United team on paper. Forget the fact you're a United fan for a sec. Try and forget the fact you're a United fan. Try and weigh up the teams. Take emotions out of it. On paper, where do you think United are finishing?
Well, if you ask for my optimistic answer, it'd be top 4. If you fourth. If you ask for my realistic answer, I'd say 5th.
Okay.
So I think that Arsenal have done good business. They've improved their front line. They've got Nicolas Pepe, who scored, who I think was 22 goals, 11 assists. In League 1, yeah, but
we're still better than Arsenal, aren't we, on paper? I think our team is. By a bit.
It's interesting to see because I feel like it's just their defence is what their problem is. Their last season was, their attack is up there, but their defence is down there. It's like, and it's an interesting concept. It's the fact is that it's just going to be interesting to see because I feel like you've obviously got City, Liverpool. It's going to be, I think that they're probably going to be up there. Unfortunate to say, and then you've got Tottenham who's strengthened greatly. Arsenal who's strengthened greatly. Chelsea unknown quantity, but I'm not really sure. But then there's other teams like We're looking at the business that Everton are doing. We're looking at the business that Wolves are doing. We're looking at the business that Leicester are doing. And you've got to look at it and be like, is there a point where you've got to say those teams could go and just get like 4th or something like that? I mean, I'd say 5th is kind of my realistic. If we get more than that, I'll be happy.
Totally.
Exactly. If we get top 4, that's my that's like the top end of where we get to. But I'd say 5th is the sort of my realistic sort of at the start of the season.
Absolutely. And I said before that, if we were to finish 5th and win a cup, mainly the Europa League, so we get in the Champions League next year, then I'd be happy with the season. And people are like, you're making an excuse for the Glazers and you're making an excuse. No, I'm not. I'm probably making excuses for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer slightly because I think he would have wanted an extra player this window, an extra big player as well. And I think maybe the owners haven't helped him out there. Porcelain says, Gaz thinks United are better on paper than Arsenal. Arsenal's front three are miles better. Midfield's probably better too. So I know you've said a lot about that Nicolas Pepe. Well, he's never played a Champions League game, has he? He's plays in Liga as well. You bring players like that to the Premiership, how do you know they're going to turn up? You don't. Marcus Rashford, we've already seen score goals at the biggest stage. People forget about it. You know what? There's even players in our team who I don't think are good enough to be starting every week, but they've got incredible experience at the top level of football. Jesse Lingard scored some massive goals for us.
Yeah, the thing with Arsenal is that, as I said, they've got Aubameyang, who was top goal scorer last season, and they have Lacazette, and I feel like they were just one wing. Like they needed a winger, and they kind of went out and got that one that everyone was like, you know what, that's the one that people want to sign. So when I say 22 goals, 9 of them were penalties, which is something you got to take into account.
It is.
Because I think it was I looked at the start, it was like outfield goals in Ligue 1, Mbappe 31, then a massive drop, then Dembele with 14. Moussa Dembele, who we've also been linked with. And then I think it was Pepe with 13. Okay. So you've got to kind of take that into account. But it's the sort of just, you look at some of the other players, I mean, like Ceballos is a player, I was very angry when I saw Ceballos. I love Ceballos. I've gone through stages of just hatred for the teams that have Ceballos.
Tell me about him, why do you love him?
Well, I remember he was at Betis, and I have no problem with him at Betis because that was where he obviously made his name and was playing a lot.
No beef with Betis.
No, I've got no beef
I fucking hate Real Betis. I hate him.
He went to the Under-21 World Cup and he absolutely stormed it. He was taking players on, he was knocking it through legs, he was basically unplayable. And then Real Madrid bought him and stuck a 545 million release clause on him, and then just didn't play him. And I was just like, I have such anger for this whole business model at the moment. Then he went to this Under-21 World Cup, Euros recently, did the exact same thing again. And I was like, right, my anger for Real Madrid is just reignited. And then I was like, oh, he's going to get a loan move. And it's just like, oh, it's to Arsenal.
Oh, no.
I was like, that's going to be fun. It's like, I cannot now like cheer on this player because he plays for Arsenal.
So how sure are you that a player like that is going to go to Arsenal, fit in straight away, hit the ground running?
I think he's better than what Arsenal have. I think he does a lot of things better than what... He's a lot more like mobile than Ozil. He gets into the game more.
I mean, it's not hard, is it?
Hard,
Really?
yeah. And he has like a passing range that Xhaka has, again with more mobility, and he has that ability to take people on. It's a very good player to get on loan. Like, there's a reason Real Madrid don't want to sell him. And it's because in 5 years they'll be like, you know what, maybe we should have played this kid 3 years ago. So it's a very good signing. And then they're getting Kieran Tierney, who I think is a fantastic signing for what they're paying. And then they're getting David Luiz, who I've already stated for 8 million is very interesting.
Interesting comment here from Thomas. Lingard scored massive goals for us. Think you must be talking about FIFA, Gaz. Jesse got 3 goals last year and 3 assists, Gaz. You've got no idea what you're talking about. I was at Wembley when he fucking scored, you knobheads. I'm not just talking about last season. He scored at World Cup finals. He scored it late in the Europa League, late in the FA Cup. The guy has scored big goals and he has good experience that we need in our team. I don't think Jesse Lingard should be starting every week, don't get me wrong, but I think he's a good squad player and a good option to have in the team. Do you agree?
Yeah, I feel like Jesse Lingard, I know what you're saying, the season before last, I remember him always just coming on the pitch and just banging one in.
Yeah.
And for about 7 games in a row, we were just like, okay, right, is it 60 minutes yet? Is Lingard going to come on? Is Lingard going to save this game for us because we're not doing anything at all? And yeah, Lingard was a big player. And I feel like last season, everyone kind of had that phase of, he didn't really play that much during when didn't do that much when Ollie first came. And then,
I think Ollie managed him incorrectly, to be honest. He rushed him back from an injury and he didn't look the same since.
Exactly. But and also he's good in the system because I know I probably sound like Steer, which is not what I'm going.
Yeah, you don't want to start.
He's very good at the press. He's very mobile and he likes running around. And he likes like getting on people's heels, and I feel like that's a good player to have, especially if you can stick him on at 60 minutes or you can play him for like 50 minutes and he'll just be constantly annoying defenders.
I think Lingard and Daniel James are 2 players that, tactically speaking, are great to have on the bench in games. You know, if you're losing a game and you need that winger who, like you say, is going to... In fact, if you're losing a game, you need a player who's going to win the ball further up the pitch. You've got Jesse Lingard and Daniel James, and a tired defence coming up against Daniel James and Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because they're both quite fast and they both don't seem to give up, and that's something that is what you need at United. There was so many times like later in games where we just had people walking around on the pitch. Lukaku was a very big not victim. That's not.
yeah, I know, but he was a big part.
Perpetrator of that. He just kind of just wandered about, and where you were like, if you just got on this defender, he's not good on the ball. He's going to make a mistake if you make him have to boot it.
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't you make him boot it? And it just got frustrating.
Because he couldn't be arsed. That was why, because he couldn't be arsed. Guys, keep your comments in, by the way. If you disagree with anything we're talking about, which no doubt loads of you do, please keep your comments coming in. I do want to hear what you have to say. I think Lingard goes very unappreciated in the United team. The season before last, he had a very good season and scored important goals. Yes, Levi, love that. Good comment, but remember, that's not how football works. People only remember the last 6 months. That's no one remembers anything that happens before that. But I half agree with what you're saying. He's a good player, but he shouldn't be starting every week. Sonel, this is an interesting comment. United to do a Moyes again.
Ooh.
Would you say that this is the worst Man United squad, really, on paper that you've ever seen?
No.
No.
No, not at all. Like, people are saying like it's the end of the world. I mean, like, we'll probably see a lot more 0-0s.
Oh God.
Which is a point.
Yeah.
But we have a better defence this is probably the best defence we've had in years. We have Wan-Bissaka at right back, who is ridiculous. I've seen people on Sky and Andy Gray the other day both said that Wan-Bissaka is defensively unproven.
Right, if anything, he's offensively unproven, but defensively.
But if you just look for like 5 seconds, if you just type in Wan-Bissaka, maybe like base statistics, just if you want to do that on Twitter right now, just do it. And there's probably a BT graphic somewhere down the line, and it's just like he has the most tackles as a fullback. He'll have the most interceptions as a fullback. He wins the most he moves the most like duels as a fullback. He has the most take-ons. So people who say he's offensively poor, there's a stat for you. He takes on the most players. So the thing is to say he's defensively unproven is just basically just saying, yeah, we just want to have a go at United.
Yeah.
So let's just say this. So yeah, we have that right back. We have Harry Maguire, another one who Andy Gray decided to have a pop at, which was a fun one. He was like, oh, you don't need a player who needs to play the ball. You need a player a defender who can defend. I'm like, yeah, but the fact is he can defend. The fact he can play the ball is a huge bonus. But he wins the most aerial duels. I think it was like 4.3, which is something that we suffer massively because on set pieces we are useless, as you've probably seen.
Don't think we've been
many
the first
times.
man in 19 years.
Yeah, but like imagine just. I mean, I was hoping it was going to be Eriksen, but that's gone down the drain. But Pogba whipping in a ball, and you just got a massive 6'4" slab just heading it into the net.
I'd love to see it.
I know, yeah, exactly. That is a pace where we definitely improved. We'll concede less goals from corners, and we'll probably score more goals from corners.
And I'd be very happy with that as well.
And
because it's about time.
And that again would win you games. That wins you probably 2, 3, 4 more games. And then when going forward, we have Paul Pogba. Like that's a quality of player that any team in the Prem would take. And then we have all this youth that people just seem to forget. Like people rave about Mason Greenwood, but until it's and then they're like, but we haven't signed someone. How can we rely on Mason Greenwood? You were raving about him like 10 minutes ago.
And also, like this is what I worry about with these young lads though. Someone's commented then saying, do you reckon Dan James is going to start most games? No, I don't think so, but I worry that it might be something that eventually happens, like when we realise all our other wing options aren't good enough. You know, when we're playing Juan Mata there and maybe we're trying Lingard and that's not working, so we're like, right, we need to give Dan James a consistent run of games. And I'm worried about that because he's a young lad. He's going to make mistakes, just the same as Rashford. He's going to make mistakes. Same with Martial. And you look at the reaction to Rashford and Martial, who can't have a bad game without being called arrogant and saying, get out the club. And you know the same is going to happen to Dan James. If he has a couple of bad games, he's going to be arrogant, get out the club, get off social media. You don't own these football players. I think that's what people struggle with sometimes. You don't have a right to tell a football player what he can and can't do in his own time. He's his own person, and just to be honest, he probably doesn't give a shit about what you have to say. But yeah, I'm worried that Dan James and the youngsters are going to get the same treatment that Rashford and Martial got from fans. Do you think that's the case?
I feel like there's a bit of goodwill. I feel like I'm quite glad. I mean, Pogba gets a lot of stick, and he seems to get a lot of unnecessary stick. But I feel like he's kind of the temperament now where he's like, yeah, you hate me, and I kind of just don't care anymore.
No.
I'll just go out and play, and he's been the absolute like high. I mean, Lukaku was saying his professionalism.
What's mad, mate, is and I don't know, I've got fans and stuff, but people are here like, why aren't? It's all I've done, innit, Jay? People are here like. People are like, why aren't these players trying? Why don't they look like they're trying? Why don't they look like they're putting any effort in? It's because they have a bad game and all of a sudden they're being told to kill themselves on Instagram. It's mad. It's mad. Why do you think they don't want to try? Why do you think their hair are fucked off?
It just seems to me that the problem is it's always a small minority of fans, and then you just see on the videos of that sort of thing. And then you just see on the comments, instead of people being like, you know what, you shouldn't say that, you get a slightly more of a majority going like, don't agree with the fact that he should kill himself, but he should get out of my club. I'm like, all right then, that's an interesting thing. Just because he didn't make 3 assists and ping a ball over the top because Lukaku decided to go out. I mean, I'm having a go at Lukaku constantly. I can now, but still.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
I mean, if he comes back to the club, I don't think he's getting anywhere with that sort of situation. But because a striker of unnamed Belgian quality, decided to stay out on the wing and not get into the box, that we're going to go, you know what? Paul Pogba was on 90 million a week. He made that Adidas dancing video once. Yeah, it's his fault. I don't see the point of that. It's the fact is you either get behind the team as a whole, or you just don't comment.
Just don't comment. But I mean, when we say that, if you're angry about a player's performance, you're gonna comment, and I understand that. But there are ways of doing it.
Don't tell him to kill himself.
Don't tell him to kill himself.
That's a base level. That's human decency in general. Right?
Honestly, when people comment stuff like that, I'm like, you've been dragged up, aren't you? Like, what? Where are your parents? Because you need to be grounded. That's not on that. Always anonymous profile as well. But that's what I'm all about, guys. And I'm coming across negative, but I'm trying to do the other thing. I'm trying to get us all sort of positive and supporting the team at the very least, especially these young lads who we've not seen much of. Your likes of Daniel James, Wan-Bissaka. Let's give these guys a chance. If they have a few bad games, let's not be saying get out my club on Instagram and social media and stuff like that. That's not how it works. We've had some of our most iconic legends started the United careers poorly. I mean, you could say that about Sir Alex Ferguson. Patrice Evra, I was watching an interview with him the other day. His debut against City, where he looked half the player that he turned out to be. Could you imagine if social media was around back then?
Okay, I mean, like, I'm saying this now, and it might be a bit. If the social media was around at the same level it was when Ronaldo first joined, when he was just like trying to skill on every single person, there'd be by the fifth game, everyone would be like, right, why have we signed this like skill merchant? Get out of our club, and then everyone would be like maybe 2 years later, they'd be like, Ronaldo, praise. So like. It's just such a weird thing. Like I get that you're frustrated, and I get that fans obviously, if a player is being consistently disrespectful, and also if it's an older player, more experienced player we've had for a few years, and we know they're not good enough. Like Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Emmanuel Matic, Ashley Young. They're fair game for quite a bit of criticism. I mean, don't tell them to kill themselves. But it's they're fair game for a bit of criticism. That should be the motto of this stream. Don't tell players to kill themselves. Please.
But when you likes of, and you know what? Also, when I'm talking about experienced players, there, I'm including Jesse Lingard in that as well. He's an experienced player in the United team now.
You get lots of jokes in the comments now, like, "Hey, oh, wow, I thought it was an under 23." Yeah,
nobody ever refers to Lingard as a young player anymore. These guys just seem to make it up. But young players in the team, I just think we need to give them a bit more time and a bit of leeway. Marcus Rashford gets just as much stick as anyone else in the team, and I just don't get that.
I mean, it's the same thing because everyone says, oh, because we're not signing the players, we're putting too much pressure on the youngsters. And then they make one mistake, it's like, oh, they're not good enough. This is why we needed to sign this, and this. It's like, give them a chance. Like, the fact is once this window closes, and United fans are going to have to realise this very quickly, and I'm hoping that everyone gets behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and you can have a go at the Glazers if you want to have a go at the Glazers. I personally have the stance of, I don't like them, but I can't do anything personally. And the fact is if I do something personally, I'm negatively affecting the team I love. Like, it's like everyone's like, burn the season ticket, don't buy a kit. Like, I mean, okay, don't buy a kit, but burn your season ticket, don't go to the games. It's like, well, if I don't go to the games, the team will get supported, and then it just gets worse and worse. And the fact is then you just get further back and further back. So that's a different conversation.
I like it when people who, I mean, I totally say that if you're a United fan who can't go, most of my mates don't go to the games just because A, they can't afford it, don't have the time, they've got other stuff on in their life. I totally understand it. Maybe you don't live in the UK, you don't live in Manchester. I understand why people don't go games. But if you don't go games and you're telling people who do go games to stop going to games, that is honestly, that is when the fan base has imploded.
But the fact is so after this window closes, the fans have to get behind Solskjaer, and they have to get behind the fact of what he wants to do is he wants to play pressing football, he wants to play attacking football, he wants to play the football that United fans want to see. And the players he has at that moment in time are the players he's going to have till January, and he's probably going to still be there at January, and he might get one or two if at a push. We don't usually do business in January, but that new rule where the Champions League doesn't count as a cup tie anymore to Europe. So,
this is information to me.
So
tell us about this, Casey.
I think it was introduced last season, the new rule in Europe where it doesn't cup tie you anymore.
Oh,
so you
brilliant.
can play for 2 European teams in one season.
What, in the same Champions League season?
Champions League, Europa League. So it works.
Oh, okay.
So, I think it might work across that, but I think that if we buy a player who's played in the Champions League, it works. So the fact is that you just give him a chance. let them try and play. I mean, if we're 10 games in and we've lost all 10 games, that is the extreme of where maybe you can say, all right, something needs to be done. But if they're playing, you can see they're trying to play the right football and they might be getting unlucky, or they've won they've won 5 or 6 games, but then they lose one. You don't instantly go, we've lost one, you're wrong, you should have signed this person. Just get behind him. This is what the thing is the only way it's going to get better is if you get behind the team. You don't have to get behind the club as a whole, but get behind the team that's on the pitch and the management staff, because they're all trying their best to put on a show that the United fans can enjoy. So that's my stance on it, I'd say. But
absolutely agree, and I'll be there on Sunday. You'll be there on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll be there on Sunday. Yeah,
cheering on the lads. But it doesn't look likely that we are bringing in anyone today on transfer deadline day, unfortunately, guys. But I'll tell you what my prediction is for later on. They'll announce no one's coming in. They'll announce that David De Gea's got a new contract, which will be some good news. But at the same time, it's just to appease the fans, because we've not signed anyone today, in my opinion. Right, make sure you keep it right here on the Deadline Day live stream, because Abdul and Marty are on the way next with their tactical analysis of how Manchester United might play this season. So I look forward to that. That's all on the way on Full Time Devils. Oh, I did.
Hi guys, welcome back to Full Time Devils. It's Abdul here with myself is Marty. We're going to go through a bit of Sabutio here. Of course, a proper tactical setup, but as you can see, the budget is down, so we've had to just do with this. Now obviously, we start on Sunday against Chelsea. Going off pre-season, we're just going to be having a look at, the 4-2-3-1 system. Obviously, Marty's going to walk us through, how you think we'll set up. First of all, we're just going to have a look at our new signings. We've got Wan-Bissaka in. Now, Delo, he'll be a bit of a challenge. We were having a chat about that earlier. Do you think that we can fit both of them in the side together?
I actually really do. I think we're playing this 4-2-3-1. That's the system that we've played in pre-season. I don't think there's still anyone from the right. People talk about signing a right winger. I don't think that was ever a priority.
Yeah.
But I think if Martial's playing on the left coming inside, I think Dalot playing on that right-hand side allows Wan-Bissaka the chance to join the back three. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's no natural right winger. A lot of us would agree. Now, Daniel James does seem to hold the line quite well. He does seem to have that pace that we are missing on the counter, but his technical ability isn't up to scratch, in my opinion, as of yet. He's got to pick up some things in his game. But overall, I am happy with what he's done in pre-season. Now, of course, he said, now, we were speaking about Martial. You'd expect him to sort of come narrow, you'd say?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, Delo would be sort of holding the line.
Yeah. I think that reduces the pressure on Wan-Bissaka as well. I think people talk about his attacking output and can he do it. I think his attacking output was actually a bit underrated. We were talking about most take-ons for a fullback. 3 assists is not bad for playing in a 4-4-2 in a Roy Hodgson team. But early on, you don't want that. You don't want that pressure on him. He's not assisting. He's not Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think giving him the chance to join that back three, Luke Shaw bombing on, overlapping Martial on the other side makes a lot of sense.
What we did see as well in pre-season is that we was just speaking about that earlier as well, was sort of Wan-Bissaka coming into midfield or Luke Shaw coming into midfield a lot, especially that we're playing the 4-2-3-1, is that Pogba would like to get on the ball. Say we've got Pogba here, McTominay would sort of be the stopper in midfield.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that you could see us stick with in the 4-2-3-1?
Yeah, I think so. I think the worry with it is you're asking a lot from players that we didn't see last season.
Yeah.
You're asking McTominay to play, 3,000 minutes in that double pivot with Pogba. Pogba's a very attacking player. That's a lot of defensive responsibility. Then obviously that's where Harry Maguire comes in.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's, we've had a lot of conversations about this in the transfer window. And we were speaking, about a lot of people were prioritising sort of the 10 role if we are going to play the 4-2-3-1, and I would have loved to see Dybala come in. But I do think that we are missing something. And, when we see the likes of Thomas Partey available with his release clause,
44 million euros.
44 million euros. So in this transfer market, at that value, we've seen some big games from him, against the likes of Barcelona and La Liga. You would have liked to see him come in. Is there any other sort of system you think that we could set up in if we're moving away from the 4-2-3-1?
I think the 4-2-2-2. Solskjaer said to Gary Neville when they did their badges together, that's a system that in theory you'd like to play. Obviously, that's before he's taken a job. That's in an ideal world.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, have we got those interior attackers?
Yeah.
You're thinking Angel Gomez, Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, is that enough depth on both sides?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the thing is, when we say we play the 4-2-2-2, you might think Andreas, I think, fits that bill.
Yeah,
that can come on the inside. I think when he takes it out wide, it's a bit of like the old sort of David Beckham sort of style where De Bruyne, you see him play that a lot, where he can go
so
wide.
That kind of
come
wide playmaker role, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's the wide playmaker role, and I don't think we've got enough of that sort of right now at Manchester United. Whilst we have players that might fit that, the quality isn't there.
Yeah, I think Angel Gomez is the one, isn't it? I think he's the one that you're asking again to step up, play kind of 2,000 minutes, having never really done that before. And he's got the quality. We were saying earlier, he probably makes more sense than somebody like a Juan Mata to come into this team. But it does Ollie throw him in and let him sink or swim.
I think we could see it be gradual as well, how we bring these players into the side. I don't think we're just going to throw Greenwood and Gomez in.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if Gomez does come in, we do play a 4-2-2-2. I'd like to see him take that left-hand side. I think he'd do well on the right as well because his technical ability is brilliant.
He's very two-footed, isn't he?
Yeah, his technical ability is brilliant. And I think once... The thing is with players like Angel Gomez, when they carry the ball in the tighter areas, they've still got the ability to play out. And if you look at back, some of the big games that we played that, we did do quite well in Europe against Paris. And then we did try carry that into the Barcelona game. It didn't quite work out, and I think that shows the lack of depth that we have and Ollie wanting to play that system. Now, of course, he's changed that up in pre-season to the 4-2-3-1. So is there any way, do you reckon, of course, everyone's going to forget about Alexis Sanchez. We've all at one point gone to each other. Yeah, is he still here? Like, we've all just done that.
I didn't know
that's what all we've been doing, to be honest. In pre-season, every single time we have a chat, we're like, oh, he could get a game. So what are you saying? Do you play him on the left, or would you like to see him central?
Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, if he comes in.
I think central. I think if you look over the course of his career, now obviously this has taken a downturn whilst he's been at United, he's averaged something like 0.6 goals per game playing as a central striker across a long career. And you're taking into account he's playing with Barcelona, where he's not going to be the guy that's at the end of moves. He's playing at Chile, where he's got a lot of the ball and a lot of responsibility in terms of ball progression. And I think you don't have 0.6 goals per game across 10 years without being a very, very good striker.
Yeah, I agree. I think a prime example of why I'd actually like to see him as the sole striker in a 4-2-3-1, and because that's what we've ended up with, we've got to deal with what we've got now, is because if you remember the Southampton game, I think it was Marcus Rashford or Lukaku alongside him, playing as the second striker, or, as the front two. I didn't feel like he had that movement there. I felt like he didn't have that free role, whereas like if you look at his time at Arsenal, he'd have Ozil behind him, who I think someone like Angel Gomez could take up that number 10 role, playmaker, intelligent.
Definitely, yeah. He's good in the press as well, isn't he?
And then obviously, whoops, just falling off there. Well, we'll move that. But you'd sort of want him across that line and being able to pick the pockets that he wants. Whereas when he was in the front two, I don't think Alexis Sanchez, just leaving there, I don't think he had sort of that freedom in the side. Now, looking at left back, Rojo looks like he could be on the move. Now, I was concerned that Rojo would be the one that steps in for Luke Shaw. You know, the amount of games that I've seen from him where he disappoints me. Do you think Luke Shaw, if he's injured, what are we going to end up doing?
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, people say, we need to sell the dead wood. We want to get rid of these players that aren't Manchester United quality or perceived to be. Then if Rojo goes, who is the backup left back? And Luke Shaw was our player of the year last year, but he wasn't, if you look at his attacking and defensive metrics, he was a very kind of average to good Premier League left back. So who steps into that? I think we were chatting about Ethan Laird before. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Ethan Laird. I think what we're seeing as well, just swap this over, but what we're seeing as well from Ethan Laird the other day, in that game they played in the Czech-Trade Cup, so it's probably worth you guys giving that a watch. Obviously he's come back and we've seen Angel Gomez play with him, is that he played at right back that game, Brandon Williams playing left back. Now he's really both-footed, he's intelligent.
He can play centre-back as well, can't he?
Yeah, so he's brilliant with the ball at his feet, and someone with that height as well, to be able to play centre-back, it does show the intelligence in his game. Now, we were speaking earlier, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold made his debut for Liverpool when he was 17, I'm pretty certain of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at quite a young age, I remember him doing into that Liverpool side.
He's still in the 19 now, is he, or 20?
So he has been, it feels like he's been about for 2-3 seasons now, and for me, anyone can come in and have that effect. That's the beauty of having such a good academy, and maybe that's why Ollie doesn't want to rush into certain signings, because that could sort of unsettle our side, and it might be just worth throwing what you have in from the youth team.
And I guess the other guy, right, is Dalot. Like we spoke about him playing on the right wing, he can cover at right back, he can cover at left back. So I think he's actually going to have a bigger role to play than people are maybe expecting this year. Yeah,
I said this actually quite a lot going towards the end of last season. A lot of the conversations I was having with some of the United fans, I was saying that I wouldn't be too worried about Wan-Bissaka coming in terms of unsettling Dalot. I feel like he's got his head screwed on. He knows what he wants to do at United. He knows that he has the ability to be a right back at Manchester United, but that challenge is important to have someone like Wan-Bissaka come in, and I think we missed that sort of John O'Shea. I'm not saying he's at that level or he's better or worse, but I think we missed someone that can come into any game, play a few roles.
Yeah, I also think there's this perception that, that whole jack of... can't speak. Players that can play a 6 out of 10 game at right back, at left back, at centre back, and those are average players, but I actually think that's not true. I think if you've got the intelligence to play those roles, I think you're actually a better player than you give credit for. I'm sure Sir Alex Ferguson rates John O'Shea a lot higher than most football fans do, and for me that says a lot.
Yeah, of course. I don't think you win titles without players that can play more than one role. We're going into the season, Manchester City are probably going to go with Zinchenko at left back. Originally came as an attacking midfielder, sort of central midfielder. So I do agree that's vital as to sort of what we want to do. Can you see us play back three?
I don't think tactically Solskjaer would want to move to a back three this season, although I think long term it probably suits the personnel at the club more. We were saying before, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and people think, you sign a right back for £50 million, you want to play him at right back. To me, he profiles like a wide centre back, a lot more. You know, his tackle success rate, everybody knows, is ridiculous. Yeah. He's good in the air. He's an average passer that will improve on his passing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think that would suit us. And I think, again, like we go back to Dalot, he's a very underrated player. You know, I think Golden Boy was in the top 25. You know, players like Mbappe and De Ligt come out on the top of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if we want to play this 3 at the back system, whilst we have the profile of like Wan-Bissaka, who could sort of take up that role because of his tackle success rate being so high, his reading of the game being brilliant, I just don't think we have this setup or system yet. Could we see sort of what Poch did, which was you have your 4-2-3-1s, you have your sort of 4-4-2, whatever, your 4-3-3, but you can always go to that back 3 and be comfortable in that?
Definitely, yeah. I think that's the really exciting thing about United at the minute is you've got Solskjaer, who's, you know, a more than competent tactician, but then he's very much kind of the PR face of the club and the guy that everybody wants to get behind. And then you've got Kieran McKenna, you know, highly respected young coach. Michael Carrick, the same, a lot of experience. Mike Phelan, one of the most experienced and kind of accomplished coaches that'd be available to us. So I don't think it's beyond us to move to that kind of system. But whether we'll see it early in the season, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think Europa League gives us the opportunity to sort of, you know, try a few of these systems out. In Europa League, you know, had Mandzukic come on, I would have liked to see that as an option. But obviously, whatever's happened with him, with the wage demands and all of that, you know, it's not surprising that he's not really coming in. Now, in Europa League, I'd love to see us rotate quite a bit. Obviously, I'd like to see Ghana. If we are going to play the 4-2-3-1, Matic is going to have to start, because where else are you going to really play him?
Yeah.
Fred could potentially start. Do you think Ghana and Fred can play as a pivot in Europa League?
Yeah, I think so. I think Fred was really underrated towards the back end of last season. I think there was the game against Wolves where he makes the mistake and you see that mistake so many times over. But actually before that mistake happened in the game, he was receiving the ball really nicely, distributing really, really well, which we'd not really had from the base of midfield. Obviously by that point, Pogba was playing the more advanced role.
Yeah.
And I think he makes those mistakes where it's almost like the strikers that miss the kind of open goals and everybody writes them off.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look, they consistently score 25 goals a season.
Yeah, and they're having the right shots. And
exactly,
yeah.
And Fred's almost that in a midfielder. You know, he's got the clangers that you can whip out and make him look like the worst player in the world. But I actually think he's very underrated, and he'd be the Europa League maybe to get his confidence back up as well.
I think Europa League's a really good tournament for Fred, and I would go now. Like I said, I'd imagine Matic would be the guy sort of starting alongside like a Ghana or Andreas Pereira and Fred. But at the end of the day, I'd imagine us like sort of rotating that quite a lot. We could see a 4-3-3 where we could see Angel Gomez in the 3 as well. So that could change a lot. Now, there is a done deal that's happened. For Spurs, they've signed Sessegnon. Would you be a fan of having him at Manchester United?
I don't know. The problem, I mean, it's £25 million for anybody that's not seen that. So at that price, I think you take a young player that looks like he's on the up. But for me, the worry with him is he's not a left back and he's not quite a left winger either. You know, he's not got the defensive ability to play at left back yet, I don't think. And he's also maybe not a top 6 winger at the minute. But you trust Poch to bring somebody like that on really well.
Especially with the Danny Rose situation for Spurs, you'd imagine that they would want to switch things around. Now, we were talking about this yesterday actually. Danny Rose's situation, I think Manchester United should have monitored that. And I think that's someone that you bring in that can play a variety of systems because he's played that under Pochettino and he challenged Luke Shaw in the side. So that's someone, do you think that should have been the right guy? That
yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you say United should be looking at Danny Rose and people hear that as, oh, Luke Shaw's this and that. You know, you've got an agenda against Luke Shaw or whatever. But I actually think it'd be better for Luke Shaw's development. People forget Luke Shaw's still a very young player.
Yeah.
He needs competition. He can't start at left back for Manchester United every week and put in kind of 5 and 6 out of 10 performances. I think somebody like Danny Rose with that threat as the backup option, as the rotation option, will really bring Luke Shaw on.
No, I agree with you. You guys let us know in the comments as well. Do you think Luke Shaw needs that challenge? Do you think Danny Rose would have been a good signing to come in and sort of test the waters? Because if you're looking at, again, we're talking about the Europa League setup, I think that if you can go to a back 3 and Axel Tuanzebe sticks around, you go with it, you know, Axel Tuanzebe, potentially Phil Jones and Smalling. I know obviously them sticking around, everyone loves to laugh about having them in the team, but if you are playing that calibre of team in the group stages.
I mean, people's problem's always been that they're backup quality players, right?
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't be starting the games that they start for Manchester United, but if they're playing the Europa League and they're playing the kind of rotation fixtures, I think that's absolutely fine.
I think that's where they're at.
You know, people say like, oh, who'd take them? Would they fit in at like a championship club? And, you know, it's kind of football fan hyperbole.
I always use Everton as the example for Chris Smalling, Phil Jones. I always do, and obviously they've been in for, you know, Chris Smalling, Phil Jones and Rojo, who could possibly leave there today, and it's not a surprise for me. I think the main issue with them has always been the contracts and what we've given them. It's not really worth it for those sides to play, and I think if we go into Europa League and we did have that backup sort of left back, wing back, I think we could have been able to play this system, which I'm sort of gutted that we can't really rotate purely at the 4-2-3-1, because the 4-2-3-1 won't work in every team, and teams have sort of gone away from playing the 4-2-3-1, you know, in most setups currently. So I'd like us to see like a 4-3-3 in Europe.
Yeah, I think there was a big call. Remember when Mourinho went through a phase where he was playing 4-2-3-1 and he was kind of winning games consistently, but maybe not impressively. And people were saying, you know, we're not seeing the best of Paul Pogba. Although he was winning games, he wasn't assisting, he wasn't scoring, he wasn't getting into those advanced positions. And people called for Mourinho to switch to 4-3-3 when we were winning games. So I wonder how long the patience will last with Pogba in this 4-2-3-1.
I think, it's with Pogba, we remember, that start of the season where he was getting the goals, he was getting assists from deep. And I think that was actually down to what Matic and Herrera did when they played with him in the pivot. They were always there on the cover once Pogba would carry the ball forward, and you'd sort of have this system. It was almost like in defensive, it would be a 4-1-4-1, you know, when teams attack us, and then obviously he'd drop in as well with Scott McTominay or Matic or whoever. But I remember that working out really well, you know, and with the whole 4-0 FC thing, we remember us playing with that setup. But what was important was that number 10. We remember Mkhitaryan's incredible amount of assists at the start of that season, and then he fell off. That is a key role. Who do you start there as the number 10 for you?
I'd be really tempted to play Angel Gomez.
Yeah.
I think he's quality. You know, Barcelona sniffing around him last year. I think he's an elite level footballer. And the thing that he's not got is experience, and he's got to start getting that experience at some point. Yeah, he's still only 18. But it's that whole thing, isn't it, about if you're good enough, then you're old enough.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I guess the other option would be Lingard, very good in the press. I also think Juan Mata could put up really, really strong numbers, as he got that extra yard to close down a centre-back and nick the ball. I mean, it's frustrating. Hakim Ziyech obviously could have been available this summer. Someone
that we could have had on that right-hand side who, if you look at that Spurs game, you know, you see him all over the pitch, you know, covering with the striker, dropping into midfield, covering the full-back. And I think we sort of do miss that link there. Now, Daniel James could be a guy on that right-hand side. We spoke about Delo, who can hold the width. But it really does depend what system, what team are you playing, because you could play as a 4-2-3-1, but the three players behind your striker are quite narrow.
Yeah.
Like we've seen with Angel Gomez in the Spurs game, picks up the ball here. You know, him and Mata, of course, play it across and he comes into the box and he scores a goal. What do you think is the right sort of 4-2-3-1 we're playing? You'd like us to play with a wider system? For
me, I think we've almost got that defence now where you can trust it. I'd quite like to see the defence just sit off a little bit, not necessarily bomb forward, and sit in that in that block, and let the width come from the wide attackers. Again, the problem with that is we've not really got the personnel to do that. So I think it'll kind of be a hybrid of those two systems.
Yeah, I think, you know, like we were talking about earlier as well, Martial, you'd expect him to be picking up the ball and coming quite narrow, trying to get close to the goal, of course. Now, Marcus Rashford, we know the runs that he makes in the channel. You know, they've not really been picked out over the last couple of seasons. He has made some brilliant runs. You look at his sprint numbers every game, it's a really good indication of what he does off the ball. Do you think someone like Harry Maguire stepping out from the back, it means that Marcus Rashford knows, I'm going to make that run, I potentially get, you know, I'm going to get picked out if I'm making those runs between the channels?
Yeah, and I think the big thing with Maguire is he can kind of step out with or without the ball. You know, he can play that long breaking pass into the channels for somebody like Marcus, but he's also very competent dribbling into the middle third and playing that kind of cuter through ball to him. Yeah. I think that'll massively bring on, you know, people think, you know, he's a defender, it'll stop goals going in, but I think going forward, that's going to be a big signing for us.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've spoken about this a variety of times, of course. I always go back to the Wolves games, the best example of that. Pogba didn't have a great game at all. Fred didn't have a great game where he dropped that clanger where he had to pick the ball up in front of De Gea. And I think we avoid that by having another ball player centre-half. And then if it's Pogba or Fred, they automatically move into the final third. Like we used to see with Pogba at Juventus with Bonucci and Chiellini as the centre-halves, they can step out. And then Scott McTominay can just occupy that space. And I think he's been really comfortable on the ball. Do you think he takes that role for you next season?
Yeah, absolutely. And people are shouting for us to sign someone like Wilf Ndidi, and we're obviously both kind of joint chairmen of the Wilf Ndidi fan club. Yeah. But I think Scott McTominay is getting to a point where he's as good as him without the ball, and he's definitely better than him with the ball. I mean, Wilf Ndidi is a very, very good player, to use him as an example. Would he have put in that performance against Barcelona away that Scott McTominay did? You know, I think people underrate McTominay, and I think that's because Mourinho. Mourinho's credited with bringing him through, but did he use him in the right way?
No.
When you look back, I think he's a lot more kind of two-way than people think. I also think his mentality is absolutely spot on. We saw in the Liverpool game, the 2-1 at Old Trafford the season before last. He was the first person. He celebrated at the corner flag, and I was sat around there.
Yeah.
Rashford runs over, Martial runs over. McTominay's the one that comes over and tells everyone, keep your head in the game. We've played 15 minutes. I think that's absolutely spot on and goes a long way.
I think we could see Scott McTominay being a future captain.
Yeah.
With his attitude, and I think now there was a concern for me in terms of his ball playing ability, and I'm not going to lie to you, he's caught me by surprise because I did watch him at under 23s level, sort of as a target man, and he's changed from sort of that role, which is mental. I
think he's played centre back, central midfield, and the centre forward.
It's mental.
United, it's crazy.
It is crazy how he switched around. I think that's improved his game as he stepped in, and he's got the confidence of Ali. Now, if we look at the Milan game, where we did play again the 4-2-3-1, which we've seen in pre-season, Matic was more of the ball carrier who, he found that brilliant ball out to Rashford, who, went in, of course, took it out down the left-hand side and scored that goal. I think that's the issue here, because in that game, a lot of people were like, our midfield looked weak.
Yeah.
Scott McTominay, a few people were actually picking him up, for not having a great game. But I thought that was one of his best games in pre-season, if not, because what I seen of him was dropping in between the centre halves and then them being allowed to split a little.
It's almost that Fabinho role, isn't it?
100%.
That's brought on people like Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson. I think he's really underrated in that Liverpool side. And I think Scott McTominay does very similar things, obviously not to the same level, but he's also younger.
Yeah, he can grow into that role and, play at that high level for me. Now, I'm just going to look through some of the comments. For you guys, who starts on the left? Who starts up front for you guys? Now, I don't know. I think in rotation, we could have both Marcus Rashford and Martial both rotating in game as a fluid sort of two.
Yeah, and I think it gives that opportunity, right? If one is kind of breathing a bit heavy early on in the season, early on in the first game, for example, they can move out and they can switch and they can manage themselves back to full fitness and sharpness. And I also think they're both perfectly competent. It's a big season for Martial in terms of, does he want to be somebody that starts out wide or somebody that plays centrally?
Yeah, it might for the sake of goals. And a lot of people say they'd love to see Martial sort of take the striker role, but for the sake of goals, he might want to sort of, be coming off the left, and that's where he gets his opportunities.
Yeah,
it sort of works randomly, doesn't it?
That tweet that kind of did the rounds on United Twitter that was like, Martial playing as a number 9 again, and the goal that he scored against Liverpool, he receives the ball off the left in that goal.
Yeah.
What I mean? So he can do that. And I think this idea, who are the top scorers in the Premier League last year? Sadio Mane starts out wide.
Yeah.
Mo Salah starts out wide. Aubameyang arguably starts out wide when Lacazette plays. This idea that you play as a number 9 and that's where you get 20 goals a season is not necessarily true anymore.
Yeah, it's about where you comfortably come off the line. Where's your sort of best setup? Where would you preferably pick the ball up? And I do think Anthony Martial, if he's picking it up as sort of the inside forward here, coming off the left-hand side, I think that's where he's most comfortable. That's where we've seen his best performances under Van Gaal, under Mourinho, at times under Oli as well. Now, there's a player that we've not spoken about, which I don't know how, as of yet, which is Mason Greenwood.
Yeah.
I think he fills that sort of Mo Salah role at Liverpool in terms of being the inside forward, because I think what we've seen in pre-season from him was when he does go wide, he's comfortable because he is both-footed, unlike Mo Salah, which was, of course, we're not saying he's going to be like him. That's it, yeah. But that sort of gives you the advantage because we've seen how lethal he is in front of goal for that Inter Milan game. Cuts in on his left foot, almost Van Persie-esque, lets go of the shot. And I think he can occupy that role.
The problem that you default with that is Wan-Bissaka going to get on those overlapping runs, and has he got the quality to deliver? But we were saying on the way down here that he doesn't necessarily have to have the quality to deliver. Yeah. Whether he does or doesn't is subjective. But if he can make that run, people aren't just going to leave him. I think that takes a man out wide, and then Greenwood's got that route inside.
I think he was making some really intelligent runs as well. And we remember the assist that he had for Greenwood. And you see Greenwood for that goal as well, almost start his starting position in the middle and then obviously gets round into the box, sort of the right-hand side of the middle. And then Wan-Bissaka stretches the play. Yeah. And then by having someone like Paul Pogba, is that they're going to pick you out with a pass, of course, switching over because he's got that ability. So Wan-Bissaka, unlike what he had sort of the situation at Crystal Palace, where at Crystal Palace we'd sort of see him hold the line a bit more because it was a 4-4-2. What we've seen in pre-season is him either covering for when Pogba drops in like we were speaking about earlier, or actually hold the line when we're on the ball, which I think is going to be a huge thing for our game next season.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely fine. Again, you don't have to have the quality to whip in a perfect cross. If you can make that run and then the pass goes inside, what difference does it make anyway? I think he'd be absolutely fine in that role. Although I do think we'll start with that more inverted kind of asymmetrical attack for the first game.
Yeah, I do think we'll sort of see that, of course, going off pre-season as well. We're just going to have a look through some of the comments. A lot of people commenting. Bruno. Mick says we should be starting Martial at number 9. A lot of people in shouts, of course, Martial number 9, but we were speaking about how you could rotate them. A lot of people saying Bruno coming in. Now, how long have we got? Pretty much an hour and a half. I can't see.
Well, I mean, to
Bruno
be fair, he's been on that flight for what, about 2 weeks now? So
yeah. Well,
it's got to be landing soon.
His agent's been on a flight for about 2-3 months.
He's been crying for about 2 weeks.
He's been crying after every single game, even though last week did make sense. Of course, the guy did cry after losing 5-0 to Benfica in a cup, in whatever it was, the Super Cup. So that wasn't surprising to me. Anyone else you would like to see come in? You guys drop your comments as well. I'm going to have a look at those now. Anyone that's sort of surprising other than Bruno that you'd like to sort of come in now?
I think the dream option would obviously be Hakim Ziyech, as we were talking before. But you've seen Frank Kessié has been linked to a move to a Premier League club today, and you've also seen Steven Bergwijn. And those aren't world-class players, but we need a rotational right winger. We need a kind of two-way, young, ideally central midfielder. I think it's almost one of them where if they've been heavily linked to Watford, are we not in a position to be like, right, here's an extra 6-7 mil. We want this guy. And I think somebody like Frank Kessié as well would move from AC Milan to Manchester United and have the right attitude. That'd be a step up in his career. He's still only 22, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think obviously he was impressive for me in Milan over the last season or so. So that would have been someone I would have loved to come in. Would have probably cost under the 40 million mark as well. So it's gutting that we're not seeing that. Everyone's just keeping on the Bruno hype. Someone said get Zaha. I'm not too sure about that.
No, for me, his shot location's a worry. You know, he's always been a good dribbler. He's always drawn fouls really well, but he takes shots from pretty stupid areas. And you think that's something where if you're looking at a young 22-year-old player, you're thinking that'll come out of his game. He'll be an elite player. But, you know, I think we were looking, was he 27 this year?
He is. When he said that yesterday, I was surprised that he's 27. I wasn't very much
Zaha
surprised.
wouldn't be one that I'd be looking to bring in. I mean, it'd actually work out financially because we've got that 25% clause, but...
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a 25% discount on yourself, aren't you? But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a ride now in the last hour because everyone's just going to be like, we could potentially be getting that signing in. A lot of people actually throwing in that Zaha shout. It's funny, Jack's just throwing in there, another Bruno confirmed. I don't know where everyone's getting this from. Bruno, like a tick and a fire emoji is what's been coming in a lot. Why would you not want to get James Maddison?
James Maddison, I think, would be perfect. I think we could move to that kind of like 4-1-4-1. Him playing off the left, Pogba comes, you know, to the left central midfield. I think he'd actually be a really, really good signing for Man United. But Leicester are not going to sell us two £60 million plus assets in there somewhere.
No, of course. And we were speaking about earlier, I think Brendan Rodgers would have loved to keep that midfield three. So, again, indeed,
you've almost got to give him a year with it, haven't you? And see what he can do over the course of the season.
Yeah. Just going to keep looking through some of these.
I think one of the interesting ones that came out yesterday was Iñaki Williams from Athletic Bilbao.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mad one out of nowhere. Damasio again, but you know, going off
yeah.
what he's given in the summer.
His reputation's taking some hits.
What do you make of that?
Oh, I think he'd be absolutely perfect. He's not a right winger, but I think he's young enough to be converted into being a right winger. And you're thinking Martial, Rashford, Williams, incredibly quick.
Yeah.
All pretty clinical. I think he'd be perfect. And also, you've got the release clause. You know how much you're paying. You take it to La Liga and you discuss a contract.
Anyways, guys, we're going to switch over to Jay and Adam, who's just going to go through some of the transfer talk on the board on the other side. So we're going to see you guys in a bit.
Thanks for that, Abdul. Thanks for that, Marty. Good stuff there. Now, I'm with the enemy, the old enemy, Manchester City. We're looking at some of our rivals and what they've been doing in the transfer window, and most of us are looking at them with green eyes because we haven't done the business that most of us were hoping for. You heard Abdul and Marty talking about the transfers we've made and how they're going to fit in. We were hoping for a few more. Now we're going to look at how our rivals have done. Adam from Blue Moon Rising is here. I'm looking at this board here, and I'm looking at Rodri, Cancelo. We'll start with them two for starters, because I'm in a group chat that I occasionally dip into that you're in, and you were pretty chuffed about them ones.
Rodri's the one for me. I didn't know a lot about him, to be honest. I think we've made intelligent signings this summer. I think we've done a lot of that the last few years. Like you said, that's what you were after this summer. Maguire was obviously a good, intelligent signing. But Rodri, didn't know much about him, didn't know how big he was. He's tall. I know I'm not the tallest, but big lad, and he's so young. So Fernandinho replacement, not yet, but it means that we've got the option there. We didn't always have that. Gundogan as well is staying. There's rumours he's going to sign a new contract, so that's another big one for midfield. It's a classic Pep signing, I think, Rodri.
Do you think now, City, don't forget as well, guys, check us out on Football Index. Look at the description. All these players on Football Index, and some of them it's worth buying or looking into because the values will be fluctuating. Some of the signings we've seen with question marks on them. We had a question mark next to Sessegnon a minute ago. That's been pretty much confirmed that he's moving to Spurs. Going back to this, Adam, do you think that what we're seeing here with Pep now is just a case of what United used to do so well, just replacing some of the players that are getting on a bit, that are moving on, you just keep replacing them, and that's what sustains you?
I think we've done it for 2 or 3 years now. We're bringing in players who, they're not replacing anyone yet. Yeah. Cancelo will replace Walker. Walker's 30 this season. Cancelo 25. Rodri, is he 22, something like that? Fernandinho's 33.
I was just chatting to a lad who was just a United fan, who's fuming. He says, you've had him over here with this deal, this Cancelo and Danilo. He was like, how have they managed to do that?
We signed Danilo for what, 20 million? Yeah. We sold him for 30 odd. So I don't know.
This is why like, we're looking at Cancelo for 58, because when you do it, I think you're paying him 20 and you've thrown in Danilo. Somehow you've managed to convince him he's worth 33 million quid. I mean, it's pretty grim reading from my point of view.
It's been a really good summer. Scott Carson, I have no idea what's going on there. He's coming on loan. what are we doing with Scott Carson?
Hey, if anyone had money on Scott Carson, got a City, he've just cleaned up. If you got him on your football in it, you might want to check him out. I bet his value's gone up.
Angelino, clever. I don't think he's going to get close to the left back position. He's interesting, but we've bought him back, having sold him to PSV. Cancelo, haven't seen too much of, to be honest. The one game I did see him play was against you lot. Yeah. And he's very good, really, really good, really quick, but defensively not too sure. We haven't replaced Company, which some people are worried about.
This is a United fan, this is what I'm holding on to here. Forget all this, right? Vincent Kompany's been the bane of my life for about 7 years, yeah? And now he's moving on, I'm relieved, but I think my worry is he's moving on at the right time for you guys.
Yeah, great time for him to leave. People forget, everyone's like, you haven't replaced him. We haven't replaced him as a captain. He barely played last year. He played the running. He played those 8 or 9 games where he was amazing, but we couldn't rely on him for any more than that. He played that probably through stupid pain just to get it over the line, and it was a good time for him to leave. I don't think we need to replace him yet, but I know that we were definitely after Maguire as well, but we just weren't willing to pay it. I don't think we'll regret it this season, but next season we're going to need another centre-back because Stones and Laporte are the 2 younger ones who will play. Otamendi is... Well, he has his games, but he can be a bit poor. Fernandinho can play in that role, but I'm not too sure. Delph, we did well. We've made money on Delph somehow. Don't know much about this Zach.
I mean, I've left out some, you know yourself. There's a lot. I mean, I could have gone down here with loan moves and players that are kids who you probably, have been shipped out for pennies and whatnot. But looking at this, I've got here last season positions. Obviously, we'll forget about where we finished. Let's not worry about that in a minute. Very, very, very good. Yeah, I could have gone to 4th, couldn't I? But then I wouldn't be able to put ourselves on the board. With this though, you look at it and you look at the blue column, if you will. You've obviously done bits in the transfer window. Looking at Liverpool, what do you make of that? Because pains me to say it, they're likely to be challenging for the title. You're a bit surprised that they've not gone a bit more out, considering that they didn't win the league last season.
I don't get it. Yeah. I know they won the Champions League and they pushed us right to the wire, but they've done what we did in around 2013, where we won the league, we didn't sign anyone, and then we were like, oh no. And
it's similar because you won the league by goal difference, so it's not like we walked it where you think we don't need to buy anyone, and United went out and got Van Persie. Liverpool missed out by a point, so you think if they pushed themselves, But do you just think? I mean, Klopp was coming out with some nonsense one the other day about there's no value in the market after he's one of the reasons it's gone up.
I don't really get it because they've got the World Club Cup, whatever it is, that one, Club World Cup to deal with.
It's a very important trophy. That remember that it's the most important international trophy you can win. Twice United have won it.
It's just really weird. They've got the front three who I think they missed 8 games between them all last season. If one of those gets injured, I don't want to wish that. If one of those gets injured for more than 10 games, they've got Ryan Brewster, who looks all right, and Divock Origi, who can do a job. But if we lose Fernandinho this year, we've got Rodri now. And I imagine they'll both play anyway. But one thing last year, we didn't have De Bruyne for the whole season.
That's pretty amazing. Like, and pains me to say the fact that you got 98 points without Kevin De Bruyne.
Sane's big.
Yeah.
Apparently he's done a big injury though.
Was there? Because the Bayern Munich was sniffing, weren't they?
Talk of ACL.
I feel like the world's on its head when it's like Bayern Munich are trying to get City's fringe players and it's not happening. I pine for the days of the Brightwell brothers. Older viewers will know what I'm on about. Right, I'm gonna have to say United. Obviously, you're like me, you're a man lad. Rivalry, derby rivalry. Pep, I don't know if he was being kind. Mentioned us after the Charity Shield. He said United. Do you see that at all? Do you see it as United as a threat? I mean, I'm not expecting you to be kind to me, but be honest.
No, you'll be a threat for the 2 games we play here because that's the way it goes. But I don't know. I think you've had a really weird transfer window. Maguire, brilliant signing. Apart from that, it's a bit stale. I think we were saying the other day, it's not just about bringing in 250 million quid worth of player. It's bringing in positions you need and midfielder. Still don't think there's that much there. It's a bit weird. I don't know. Chelsea are going to fall apart. I'm certain of it. I think it's Arsenal's spot that you're after.
Yeah.
This year,
Pains me to say it.
Top 4 is where you need to get to because then I think there's a reason Dybala wouldn't come, and that's Champions League. Really, if things are.
I think it's all connected. Yeah, they talked about the wages and all the rest, but I think if we had Champions League, maybe he doesn't want the wages and all the rest of it. It's all connected. I think United were right with the Dybala move, but it pains me to see Lukaku and Herrera going and Rojo probably going and not bringing anyone in. Just finally, Keezy, thanks for coming on. Just finally, do you think you've done enough? Do you think you're going to retain your title and make it 3 in a row?
I think we've done enough, but I think more so. I don't think people have done enough elsewhere. Spurs I'll go out on a limb. I think Spurs will finish above Liverpool. I just think if they can bring in a Lo Celso or Dybala, their squad's really, really deep. And I think that's where Liverpool might struggle. I think Liverpool will do the same. They'll be great in Europe, but I just don't. There's something about them that, and I also don't want them to. So I think.
Welcome to our world, eh? City fans finally waking up, realising about the Scousers.
I think Spurs will be good this year. I think they've made the most exciting signings, obviously.
Sorry, excuse me.
Oh, it's all right. It's just news. It's Howson, it doesn't matter.
Stephen Howson's there. There's something to look forward to. Keezy, thanks for coming on, mate. I don't want to say I wish you good luck this season, but you know how it is.
In 2 games, you
can check you out. Blue Moon Rising. Is that where?
Just throw abuse at me on Twitter.
Yeah, if you are a City fan, strangely watching this stream, check him out on Blue Moon Rising. Thanks for that, Keezy. Send the next one in. We've got more of our rivals coming in as well. Yeah, whoever's there, I think we've got another couple of lads who are going to come in and talk about the business that's been done from some of our rivals. Obviously, United, as you can see at the end there, we've brought in Daniel James, we've brought in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and we've brought in Harry Maguire. Herrera's gone. It looks like, well, we know Lukaku's going to go, and now it looks like Rojo as well. So we're getting rid of players. We're just not bringing in the players that we should do. Joe, come and join me, mate. Yeah, sorry, Joe. Sorry, just talking to producer Nick there. I think Steve's downstairs. You've got to go and grab him. Right, Arsenal. Now, this is you can see the table here. Yeah, this is where you can see the teams finished last season. United finished 6th. Arsenal finished 5th. So you think that we're going to be there or thereabouts again, challenging for the top 4. You guys have been doing bits this transfer window. After it looked like you weren't going to do anything, you've gone out. You got Pepe, Salabina, Martinelli. Let's face facts. It's Pepe, Luiz, and Tierney who are waiting to be confirmed. But it looks like that's going to happen. What do you make of the signings that you've made?
Good. I'm quite excited as an Arsenal fan. Pepe, huge signing. Saliba's getting there next year. Yeah. Luiz, I think he's got a bad reputation. Maybe in the media, I think he's a better defender than we give him credit for, maybe. Tierney, I'm excited about. I haven't seen much of him. But also, I think, who have we... Lacazette and Aubameyang have just signed new contracts as well.
Well, there's Lacazette there. Yeah, how big a deal is that? Because at one point, I don't know how true it was, Goldstein was reckoned that United were in for Aubameyang. It didn't seem to make much sense to me for 60-odd million. But obviously, he was Golden Boot last year. How important is it? Because in the past, Arsenal have had a habit of letting players go at the end of the contracts. How important is it to get him done?
I think so important. We let Ramsey go for free last season, which was terrible. So I think tying our best players up.
Why have you let Danny Welbeck go? Hey, who does that for free? You mad? Releasing him, guys? The guy's a legend.
Good signing for Watford if he stays fit. Eh?
Broke my heart, Danny Welbeck. Let's not go there. Right, looking at this now, you've got rid of Koscielny. He went kindly, didn't he? He went nicely. Hey, yeah, big time. He made Lukaku look lovely. You've got rid of Koscielny. We don't need to go into all the rest of it. Ramsey, I think, obviously, big. Do you think you're stronger now this season, or going into this season, if Luiz and Tierney get over the line, than you were last season?
Yeah, I think we're stronger, yeah. I think Ramsey's a massive loss, but I do think Ceballos, I think you're missing him, actually. We got him on loan from Real Madrid.
I think he was on my list. I think Lewis did a list for me, and I ignored that one, because I just thought, loan, I'm not bothered.
Told you out. Ceballos, I think, looks really good. He looks like Cazorla, basically. Really good close control. I think he's a good player.
Great.
I'm positive. Pepe compilation videos looks amazing, which every player
I like your
does.
honesty.
Yeah.
Not trying to baffle me with some stats you just Googled on the compilation videos. Yeah, obviously you can see there you've made a lot of signings as well. And guys, don't forget to check out on Football Index some of these signings, because the values will be going up and down. You can see in the description of the videos, we've got a link there. Click on that, have a look at Football Index. We've been mentioning it all through this live stream. Just finally, when you look at what your rivals have done and what you've done, do you think you're getting into that top four? Because for me, it was at the beginning, it still is for me open, because Chelsea have got the transfer ban. I don't think City and Liverpool are looking at it.
Liverpool aren't going to be touched.
But Spurs have done bits as well, haven't they?
Strong, yeah. And Ndombele is, Spurs fans will tell you he's amazing. I've not seen him, but I think Chelsea maybe are the one team that we could displace. I think our front three, Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang, is up there. I think that's similar to Liverpool, similar to City, potentially. United's front three, not sure.
Well, the hope with United is, for us fans, is that this is the season that the likes of Rashford, the likes of Martial kick on and do bits, as they say. On the whole, I'm not overwhelmed by our transfer business, but just finally push you for your prediction for where Arsenal are going to finish.
Fourth. I'd be pretty happy with fourth.
So who's your top four?
Return to the Champions League. City, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal.
Get out. That's enough for that. Cheers, Joe. Thanks, Joe. And we've got, finally, last but not least, just when you think, oh, hang on a minute, I'm out of shot there. Yeah, come in, mate. Yeah. We've got Dylan's here as well. Dylan, I'm just going to move this over because I don't think the producer Nick's just moved away. It's all very professional. This is a live stream, so you can see here. Now, right. Am I in shot there? Yes, I think I am. I think I'm just about getting away with it. Liverpool, not really done much in a transfer window. Now, I'm not complaining about that. I'm a bit relieved. Are you surprised at the fact that you've not gone out and spent a little bit more money?
Do you know what? To be honest, I am slightly surprised, but I'm not that worried at all, because if you look at our team, to be honest with you, defence, pretty strong. Up front, pretty strong. Midfield's the only place where I think we could have strengthened a little bit. But all in all, I'm pretty happy. I mean, if you look at the season that we had last season, we had a pretty good season. And I don't think much is going to change in the next 2 to 3 months. I don't think, like all other teams have done, United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, they've kind of like FOMO'd and just kind of bought players almost.
FOMO'd? I like that. I know, fear of missing out for all you kids, yeah. For all your oldies, I should say. The kids know it, yeah. But yeah, I can see where you're going. I mean, United, we had to strengthen. You look at Maguire, that for us is similar to what you did with Van Dijk, where you knew you needed a centre-back to lead. Now, it pains me to say it, though. You're probably not worrying about United as much as you used to. You're looking at City. Does that worry a little bit? The fact that City have gone out, they've obviously improved.
I don't know who they brought in, so let's have a look. Rodri,
Cancelo. I wouldn't worry about some of the others. Scott Carson's not going to be troubling anyone anytime soon, although I get why they've done it. But Rodri and Cancelo, I think what they're doing in City is they're just bringing in players that are long-term replacements for the likes of Fernandinho, for the likes of Kyle Walker and what have you. So when you look at the fact that you could argue they're probably a little bit stronger. And the fact, we just had Keezy on from Blue Moon Rising, and he was saying the fact they've got De Bruyne coming back in. Right. we know you guys are going for the title. It's been like, what is it, 31, 32, 30, what is it?
Don't mention it. I don't even.
I'm holding on to that, mate. Yeah, I mean, like,
You know what I mean?
I barely remember it. I barely remember you guys winning the title. But do you not look at that and think to yourself, right, well, have we done enough to win that title, or do you think you have?
I think we've done enough. I mean, look, last season it was just a couple of results that didn't go our way. If that Leicester result had gone our way, a couple of other results had gone our way, we would have won that title in the end. So I think our team's pretty strong as it is. I mean, if you look at the Champions League, I mean, Jordan Henderson was the one that listed Champions League. I mean, like, if you look at him alongside the world class players that United have got, that some of the other teams have got, you wouldn't put him up there with the other world class players, would you? But at the end of the day, you won the Champions League. I think if you've got just a couple of leaders in your team, and we've got people like Van Dijk, we've got people like Salah, we've got people that can motivate the team around us in times of despair, I think. And as long as you got them players, I think we'll be all right.
What do you think going to go on then? Where do you see Liverpool finishing this season?
I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say one. I'm going to say we're going to finish first. Number 2, I can see City coming in very close. 3 and 4, I reckon, is going to be tight between Spurs and maybe Chelsea or Arsenal, I think.
You missed out. Daniel James, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire. You're not bothering, not worrying. Seriously, do you think when you look at what United have done, does it worry you at all? Because we know where we're at. We're not stupid. United fans have been on our comments all day saying we've not done enough. Yeah. Do you look at United and think they're moving in the right direction? Is that as a sort of a rival and a Liverpool fan, or do you think they've not done enough?
I'm going to put the emotions aside, and do you know what? You've strengthened your defence, which was really lacking. You had a lot of blunders last season in your defence, didn't you? And I think bringing in 2 players like Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, I think Wan-Bissaka can provide you that speed up and down the wings, which is what's becoming like the new thing in football nowadays, having that winger that can always do the up and down jobs. So that's going to come in handy, I think. And yeah, I mean, you've strengthened well. James was good in pre-season as well, wasn't he? He was looking lively. So I think you've strengthened. I think it's just up to the likes of Martial and Rashford to kind of come good this season for you guys and just really push you for the title or a cup, I guess, this season.
Dylan, thanks, mate. I won't wish you luck because that'd be disingenuous, but thanks for coming on, mate. I appreciate that. And we'll speak to you again later on in the season. Take care. Yeah, we've just got breaking news as well. I think we're just reading here that Inter have announced Lukaku, so we knew that one was going to happen. Lukaku to be confirmed. I think that's we can change that to it's done now. That's all sorted. We knew that was going to happen. He wanted a move. He's got his move. He's going to be moving on to, he's gone to Inter. I think it's 72 million, is it, that we're looking at next, around that mark? 72 million quid. 74, roughly what United paid for him. And I think that was what United were always holding out for. We wanted what we paid for Romelu Lukaku. At first, Inter came in. Initially, reports indicated it was a bid of around 60 million quid. United weren't having any of it. Inter come back in because obviously there was a time when it looked like he was going to go to Juventus. It looked like Dybala, Mandzukic. There was all sorts of names being thrown into the hat to make that deal happen. That's not materialised. We saw him last night on a plane with his agent. He's gone to Inter Milan. Listen, I'm really disappointed with the way it worked out for Romelu Lukaku for several reasons. I'm disappointed in the fact that it's not worked out for him in terms of having success at Manchester United. When we bought him, I remember doing a preview and I was a little bit, when we were linked with him, and I wasn't sure about him, but he came in, he banged in loads of goals early doors, and I thought, yeah, I stand corrected. And then he had a drought, and he never, for me, really recovered from it. I think he scored 27 goals in his first season for United, which is obviously a good return. But if you scratch beneath the surface, there was fits and starts, there was 10 games without goals, those sorts of runs. There was big games where it didn't really happen for him. Yes, he did score a lot of goals in that first season, but it ended on a bit of a downer. I mean, he wasn't really fit for the FA Cup final. Didn't really happen. We obviously lost that. We finished a distant second to Manchester City. So yeah, it was just one of those where it was a bit of a disappointing season for him. The second season was even worse. I think he struggled. He wasn't happy. There was question marks about his weight. All sorts of comments going on that he'd come back from the World Cup and he was overweight and all the rest of it. Then we started seeing all the memes, the Ben Hill music and all the rest of it towards with his first touch, it wasn't great. And now Ollie came in, didn't really get much of a chance at first under Ollie. Then he was brought in, had that night in Paris that we all talk about often. Looked like he might turn the corner. 6 goals in 3 games at one point. Then it just didn't happen. Just didn't happen for him. Season petered out. In the summer, the way he's carried himself, hasn't been great. Silly tweets with his agent. Didn't look interested at all on pre-season. Some of the lads were over in Perth and Singapore. They saw him. They just said he looked like he didn't want to be there. And then finally, you know, we saw the tweet. I think it was last week where he was going on about his sprints and he was sort of bragging about the fact that he was one of the fastest sprinters in the team. Hasn't been training with the team. Was training with Anderlecht. Hasn't played any pre-season, and now he's got his move to Inter Milan. I think it's one of those. United have got the money back. He's got his move that he wants to Inter. Conte's got his man. In a way, everyone sort of walks away happy, but I don't think anyone at United's end would be really satisfied with the way Romelu Lukaku has handled himself or the way this move has worked out. It could have been a dream move for him. Coming to Everton, he was still a young lad, scored loads of goals in the Premier League. You think the stage like Manchester United for any striker who's worth his salt, following in the footsteps of Zlatan as well, maybe that was a little bit too much for him. But Romelu Lukaku moves on, and do you know what? I'd say we wish him well, but I'm just past all that. I don't really care anymore because of the way he's carried on. Maybe I'm being harsh. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments. One thing's for sure, though. With time running out on transfer deadline day, there's not much time left. Lukaku's gone to Inter. Doesn't look like we're going to bring anyone in to replace him. So we've got him going. No one coming in as a striker by the looks of it, unless there's some real surprise deal. I'm going to go and jump over there and dive into the comments. So be back. We'll just bear with me 1 sec. Won't be a minute. Hi guys, yeah, Jay here, Full-Time Devils. Sorry about a little break there while we just move around. Obviously, we've been giving you all the deadline day coverage, and the latest bit of coverage we've had is that Romelu Lukaku's move now has been confirmed. It's not really great from a Manchester United point of view, in the fact that it's been confirmed with less than an hour left of the transfer window, and it doesn't look as though we're going to be bringing anyone in. It looks as though, Lukaku to Inter, we knew that was going to happen from this morning. It's been pretty much confirmed when we saw him on a flight with his agent that he was going to go to Inter. At one point it looked like he might be going to Juve. That didn't really happen. The Dybala and the Mandzukic sort of deal that we thought could happen didn't. So he went training with Anderlecht because he obviously just didn't want to be training with United. I don't think United or all they particularly want. Has gone. Well, I know he's gone, but we're not going to replace him properly because I don't see any strikers coming in at the minute. Guys, get involved in the comments. Let me know what you think about Romelu Lukaku. Let me know what you think about any other deals that could be on the horizon. Do you think that we're going to see anything? Do you think we're going to see any more deals coming in? Do you think we're going to bring in anyone? We're literally into minutes. Everyone's saying Bruno. Is this happening? Bruno. Confirm Bruno Fernandes. I'm getting a lot of comments here saying that Bruno Fernandes has been confirmed. So we're going to check out. I don't know if that's a little bit of kidology there. Nothing as yet. I think that's people just either having a laugh or just being wishful thinking, or maybe they've heard something that I haven't. Let me just see, having a look here. Someone's asking, does Bruno Fernandes exist? Yes, he does. Can't really see much there on Bruno Fernandes at the minute. Let me know. Let us know in the comments, guys, if it is happening. Let us see if it's going to go, if you think we're going to get anyone else. Time is ticking. Like we say, we haven't got long of the transfer window. We are under an hour left into the transfer window. We know that Romelu Lukaku's gone. That's been confirmed. International have announced his signing. It looks as though Marcus Rojo is going to go to Everton as well. We know that Ander Herrera went, it seems like an eternity ago. He went to PSG. We've brought in Daniel James for 17 million quid. We've brought in Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 50 million quid. We brought in Harry Maguire for roughly 80 million quid. Is that good enough? I mean, you look at it now, I'm trying to work out, what is that, 100 and... Math isn't my strong point. 147 million pounds spent, and about, if Rojo and Lukaku are the prices we expect, about 100 million coming in. So is it? I mean, someone was saying before that it was about 30 million quid. Oh, here we go. 45 million quid net spend. Is a 45 million pound net spend enough for a team that finished 32 points off the title, off the top? For Manchester United, who obviously have ambitions and should be a club and a team that are challenging for the title, to finish that far behind our rivals and have a net spend of 45 million, is that good enough? Guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Ollie to be sacked after the first 10 matches, says Ash. Listen, no one, I don't think Ollie's going to get sacked after 10 matches. What I do think, though, is Ollie is under a little bit of pressure. Not from fans. United fans will back Ollie. We stick with him. We know how difficult it is, job he's got turning his team around. We know that by the looks of it, he hasn't been backed enough in the transfer window. What worries me is the running out at the back end of last season and the facts of this board being very trigger happy. We've seen it in the past when things aren't going right, like with Moyes, with Van Gaal, with Mourinho, they make a decision. You could argue they were right to do it with those managers. I personally think Ollie needs time and he needs some financial backing. And £45 million net spend and less than a full season isn't enough. So I hope that Ollie, I hope the board don't do anything stupid, because if they do sack Ollie, all eyes are on them. It's not, people aren't going to blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for this mess that we're in. People are going to blame the board. And I think the sad thing is, at one point, early on in the season, when we were linked with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we were linked with Daniel James, we were linked with Harry Maguire, it looked like, okay, if we get them deals done and some others, it might not be a bad transfer window. Even up to about a week ago, people were saying, well, we can get Bruno Fernandes, we can get Paulo Dybala. That'll be a decent transfer window when you throw in James, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. But then what has happened is we've just stopped. It's been Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, James, nothing. There's not been any more transfer business other than, by the looks of it, Lukaku, we know, and Marcus Rojo going as well. And that's a bit frustrating. That's not what United fans expect. We expected this summer to make a statement. We know that the season ended pretty much disastrously last season. We got beat off Cardiff. We drew with Huddersfield. We had players that didn't look fit enough. We had players that didn't want to be there. We knew that Paul Pogba wanted to leave. Then Romelu Lukaku obviously made it clear he wanted to leave. We thought we were going to go out, spend money big time, get back into that title challenging sort of mentality that we should be at. But we're not. We're not on that. We're not on that at all. It looks like we've almost given up. If you look at it, it seems that after last summer, when we bought Fred, Lee Grant and Diogo Dalot as our three signings, when we finished 19 points behind City, we've then gone out this summer, when we finished 32 points behind City, and spent almost, well, not almost the same, we spent more, but on a net spend, it's almost the same. Practically the same net spend. And we've not bought any more midfielders. We've not bought any more strikers. You've got to remember, right, we were talking about this earlier, people look at Marouane Fellaini and they say he wasn't good enough or he wasn't Manchester United class. He was a first team regular when he was at Manchester United. He played almost every game. Ander Herrera was a first team regular at Manchester United. He played practically every game he was fit. He played. Big games, small games, didn't matter. He was in that team under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now Herrera's gone, Fellaini's gone. Whether you like them or not, whether you think it was right to let them go or not, those are first team midfielders and you haven't replaced them. You haven't brought in anyone. Now, keeping Paul Pogba is all well and good. I think a lot of us were pleased with that because we thought that Paul Pogba was going to leave. And I personally think United need to keep hold of him and I think we need to try and get him happy, build a team around him if we can. But that's not enough. Simply keeping a player who doesn't want to be here isn't enough to take you forward. You need to add to your squad. You need to add to your midfield. And we just haven't done that. If you look at it, we're now probably, yes, we're stronger defensively than we were last season. I think our back five is spot on. I can live with that. Shaw, Aaron Wan-Bissaka as the full-backs, Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire as your two centre-backs. I think that works. And I think that's a really strong defensive unit. David De Gea obviously in goal. I wouldn't say it's the strongest back four in the Premier League. I think that's a bit of a stretch. But I think I think that back four and that back five, if you will, is strong enough to win a title. I'm not saying we're going to win a title. I'm saying that back five is strong enough to win a title. When you look at the likes of Leicester, who had Danny Simpson, Wes Morgan, Robert Huth and Fuchs or whoever as their back four, and Kasper Schmeichel, you can see that, as long as you've got a solid enough defence that doesn't ship loads of goals, you've got a fighting chance. The trouble is once you move further up the pitch, Nemanja Matic looks like he's spent. He just does. We saw him in pre-season, didn't look great. We've seen him at the back end of last season, Everton game in particular, didn't look great. Scott McTominay, great player, young player. Is he the answer though? Can we expect him to come in this season, play every game and be a 7, 8 out of 10 player every game? I'm not so sure. We know he can do it when he's used sparingly. He had a good game against Barcelona, a really good game in Barcelona at Old Trafford. But can you throw him in, week out, and expect him to do bits? Paul Pogba, yes, his stats are fantastic. Yes, he is world class on his day. Is he consistent enough? Let me know what you guys think. Come into the comments. Let me know if you hear anything. I know people keep saying Bruno, Bruno, Bruno. It isn't happening. One thing I wanted to talk about as well is looking at our rivals. Now, when I say our rivals, historically and traditionally, and even sort of, I don't know, with my heart, you say City, Liverpool. But realistically, our rivals now ain't City and Liverpool. It's Spurs, it's Arsenal, it's Chelsea. You can even argue it's the likes of Everton and Wolves and Leicester. Now, people may laugh at that and say, are you off your head? Everton aren't our rivals. Leicester aren't our rivals. Watford aren't our rivals. Wolves aren't our rivals. I'm not saying they are, but they're not far off. You look at someone like Everton, they beat us 4-0 last season. They've gone out in the transfer window and spent money this season, the likes of Keane. I don't know what's happened with Zaha, but they've brought some decent players in. It looks like Marco Silva is implementing his style of football into that team after he took over from Sam Allardyce. They're looking like a strong team now. There's a lot of positivity around Everton. They're getting the new stadium, all the rest of it. You can see them, the next step for them is challenging for the top four. Where did we finish last season? 6. So would you not argue that Everton are going to be there or thereabouts where we're going to be around? So you've got to hold your hands up and say, they're one of our rivals in the league at the minute. That's where we're at. And I don't care, people may say that's being too negative, but you've got to be a bit realistic. You look at Wolves. Wolves, you say, then Wolves, tiny club, nothing to do with Manchester United. They beat us twice last season and drew us at Old Trafford and were a better team. They've got a manager that everyone believes in. They've got a style of football that everyone loves to watch. They've even gone out in the summer and done a bit of transfer business. That is a strong team. That is a team that plays well together. They've kept hold of the prize assets, most of the prize assets. So it's a team that, again, you think they might have ambitions of moving up again, not just focusing on the top 10, but trying to get into Europe. And where are we at the minute? We're 6. So if you're trying to get into Europe, you're trying to get into the top 6. Leicester, we looked at Leicester. Yeah, we got Harry Maguire off him. We were linked with James Maddison. And Ndidi was a player that everyone was raving about. Chilwell was another player that everyone was raving about. They got Tielemans from a loan move to a permanent deal. He was another player that everyone was raving about. These are top quality players. And I thought I'd say this, even when they won the league, I don't really say this. But Leicester have got quite a lot of players that will be there or thereabouts the United team. So again, you've just got to look at it and think, where are United at in terms of challenging now? Have we gone forward? Are we closer to getting a title challenge? Or have we moved backwards? Have we gone to the point where even finishing 6th now is going to be a struggle? Personally, I'm looking at what the other teams have done, and I think if you look at what Spurs have done, you look at what Arsenal have done, if you look at what you can maybe argue what Chelsea haven't really done anything, but look at Spurs and Arsenal in particular. They've gone out and they've made big signings, they've made big statements. Arsenal bringing in Pepe, looks like David Luiz going there. Kieran Tierney from Celtic, very good signings. Spurs on Ndombele, Sessegnon, other couple of players as well there. There's talk of Dybala, I don't know what's happening with that one going on, but Spurs were quite a level above us last season, especially in the league. Chelsea are the ones you think might be the weak link in the top 4 from last season because they've got that transfer ban, because they've lost Eden Hazard, Higuain's gone. They've brought in Kovacic on a permanent deal, obviously, from his loan move, whatever. They've got in a lot of young players who were out on loan, who've come back. Frank Lampard, new manager. Can he get them or can he keep them in the top 4? I'm not so sure about that. But it doesn't matter if Chelsea drop out of the top 4 if they're just going to be replaced by Arsenal. United have disappointed me in this transfer window. Guys, get into the comments. Let me know what you think. Earlier on today, well, not just earlier on today, throughout the day, there's been a lot of anger amongst United fans. A lot of United fans just aren't happy with the way the transfer window has gone. You look at it a week ago, there was a little bit of buzz about it. We just secured Maguire. Dybala looked like it could happen. There was still talk of Fernandes. There was even talk of Mandzukic as well. That has all petered out. Nothing is really happening. It doesn't look like Fernandes is going to come. Dybala was off. We knew that one was off as well. So it's turned into a bit of a disappointing transfer window, especially when you look at what the other teams have gone and done. If you look at the graphic as well, you can see there we've got Football Index involved. Now, if you've not looked at Football Index, check them out like a football sort of stock market where you can buy and sell players and their value goes up and down, and you can make yourself a few quid on that if you can use your football knowledge to your advantage. So do check them out in the description. There's a link there. Click on it and go and have a look and see. You've got to remember as well, some of these players, the value will be going up and down if they're making moves or they're not making moves. So have a look at that. Everyone is going on in the comments about Fernandes. Fernandes just doesn't look like that's going to happen. The transfer window is ticking. What have we got? 40 odd minutes left. Doesn't look like United are going to get anyone over the line in the next sort of 45 minutes. What worries me now is obviously the English transfer window shuts. The Spanish one doesn't. The Italian one doesn't. Do we still see teams sniffing around Paul Pogba? Do we see Paul Pogba look at it and go, you've not really strengthened Manchester United? Do Real Madrid finally get the money together to say, right, here's the 130, 40 million quid or whatever you want, whatever you demanded? Just having a look here in some of the comments. Bruno. It's not happening. Rebuilding this team with just 3 new players, question mark. Good question. Why didn't we buy Ziyech from Ajax, 30 million buyout? Players didn't want to come to Manchester United. So you guys are crying, so obviously you guys, so it's not a United fan, play the youth. Can we trust the youth team? Is the youth young players, the likes of Tahith Chong, the likes of James Garner, the likes of Angel Gomez, the likes of Mason Greenwood, maybe Axel Tuanzebe? Is that enough? Is that enough, really? Can we throw all them in? This isn't the class of 92. People forget that. People think you can just get like 4 or 5 talented youngsters, as those youngsters are, and just stick them in the first team. Maybe that'll be the answer. It won't. Even going back to when the class of 92 had that great season in 96 where they all sort of broke through. They'd all had games. They'd all had 10 or 20 games the previous 2 seasons or whatever. They'd all had big games. Mason Greenwood's barely played for the first team. Angel Gomez barely played for the first team. Ditto James Garner. Ditto Chong. You can't just go sticking all these players in and thinking they're going to replace seasoned professionals who've been at the club or been challenging for titles, been challenging for trophies for the last 3 or 4 years. Someone else put Stephen Dewan has put Angel Gomez to make the 10 position his. Possibly. Don't know about this season, maybe long term. I don't see why not. I think Angel Gomez is a massive talent. The problem I have and the worry that I have is that it's just a bit too soon for him. You're going to be bringing him in almost sort of to replace, not to replace, but because you've lost Lukaku, you're going to be putting him in the first team. Doesn't really work like for me. There's talk of Mason Greenwood being the answer, of having a front 3 of Martial, Rashford and Mason Greenwood. I don't know. I love Mason Greenwood. I think he's a massive talent, and I think long term he'll be a great player for Manchester United. I just don't know if he's the answer short term. I think you need to use him cleverly. You need to use him sparingly. You need to bring him in for sort of 10, 15 games, then bring him in a bit more the season after. I think 2 or 3 seasons is when we'll see the best, or when we'll see Mason Greenwood really impact the first team and make a first team position his own. I'm not sure if this season is going to be the one. Who played forward after Lukaku left? Lingard or Gomez for number 10, is someone asking. Yeah, possibly. I think Lingard, I like Lingard as a number 10. I know he doesn't always play there for Manchester United, but I do. I think now you're looking at a front three of Lingard, get me words out, Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford. Those are the front three that you think would start most of the games. Those are the front three I expect to start against Chelsea. How that system works, who's the sort of the number 9, who's the number 10, remains to be seen. We've seen both Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford lead the line for Manchester United. It looks like those two are the main contenders. Just on an update on Marcus Rojo, that looks like it could be happening. Not much time left, so we're waiting to see whether that's going to get over the line in time for Everton. The fact is, if Marcus Rojo goes to Everton, I don't think it really matters that much to Manchester United. I wouldn't have even had Marcus Rojo as our 5th choice centre-back this season, if I'm being honest. I would have had it as Lindelof and Maguire, then probably, I know not everyone's a big fan, I probably would have had Smalling and Axel Tuanzebe. So you're probably looking at maybe Marcus Rojo or Eric Bailly whenever he does get fit as being 5th choice. So losing Marcus Rojo isn't a massive blow to Manchester United. That isn't the sort of decision that's going to have a big detrimental effect to our team. What does have a detrimental effect to our team is the fact that we're selling these players and we're making, we're bringing in money, but we're not spending enough. And it's not just about throwing money at a problem, it's about strengthening where you need to strengthen. Now, we have strengthening defence, that is great. I think everyone I know is on board with that. Some may quibble about the prices we've had to pay. Have we overpaid for Wan-Bissaka? I don't think so. I think that's the going rate for a young right-back. You could argue that he's barely played. I don't think he's played for England, or he's had Ali in England caps. He's only had 1 full season in the Premier League, and at the end of the season before. Is he too much at 50 million quid? I don't think he is. I think that's the sort of price you'd expect to pay for a 21-year-old who's defensively the best right-back in the league, according to the stats anyway. Have we overpaid for Harry Maguire? You could argue that 80 million quid for Harry Maguire was a bit too much. But again, you look at the market, you look at where we're at with the market. These are the sorts of prices that you're going to pay. We already saw it after Leicester sold us Harry Maguire. They were being quoted silly money for Nathan Ake. They were being quoted like 75 million quid or whatever it was for Bournemouth. These are the prices. It's just sort of a knock-on effect. As soon as Van Dijk went for 75 million, top-class defender in his mid-20s, clubs are going to want that sort of figure, especially with someone like Maguire, who's a massive player for Leicester, regular at England International, had some outstanding games for Leicester against the big teams last season, and obviously Manchester United are crying out for him. So you think, okay, that's sort of expected as well. So yeah, we have slightly overpaid, or you paid there or thereabouts what you'd expect to pay, bringing in the players to strengthen the defence. But then you look forward and you think, right, okay, what are we going to do about midfield now? We were linked with Bruno Fernandes all summer. His agent has been trying to push a move to anyone who will have him. He was linked with Spurs, he was linked with Liverpool, he was even linked with City, what seems like a million years ago. None of it happened. Manchester United looked to be the only club, or us and Spurs looked to be the only club that were really left as an option for him. Not happened at all. Okay, I can live without bringing in Bruno Fernandes, if I'm honest. If we bring in another midfielder, Abdul, before we were talking about Thomas Partey, bringing him in, someone like that, a bit more of a defensive midfielder. Milinkovic-Savic has been quoted or been talked about for a good 2 years now. That is a sort of bit more of an all-round midfielder. That is someone who a lot of people think could slot into our midfield and do a job. Jury's slightly out for me, if I'm being honest on that one, but I can understand why people fancy him. But you're looking at it now, and to bring in no midfielders doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You're going to start a midfield, or you're going to start a game against Chelsea now, where the likelihood of the midfield is going to be Paul Pogba, Nemanja Matic, Scott McTominay, those 3 players. Scott McTominay looks like a good, talented young player. Is he ready to play every week for Manchester United? I'm not so sure. Nemanja Matic doesn't look like the player that we bought from Chelsea 2 seasons ago. He's just gone rapidly downhill. Pre-season and the end of last season didn't look great at all. Paul Pogba, we know his stats, we know what he can do. Does he want to be here? No, but he's staying here. Are we going to get the best out of him? I hope so. In pre-season, to be fair, he has looked decent. So I don't think there's any reason to doubt his professionalism and his attitude. Just wonder if he's consistent enough in that midfield, because he's almost carrying that midfield, isn't he, at the minute on his own. He could have done with someone alongside him with a bit of experience who can still do a job. That way, you're bringing in McTominay half the games or whatever. You're bringing in the likes of Andreas Pereira some of the time. You're not relying on them. If we get Paul Pogba gets an injury now, we're in big trouble. Seriously, we are in massive trouble, because we are looking at a midfield that without Paul Pogba, you're looking at maybe the likes of it, the midfield three being Matic, Pereira and McTominay. And that's not the strongest midfield, really. That's not a top four midfield, if we're being brutally honest. So there's a lot of pressure on Paul Pogba now this season. I don't think he'll be bothered. I think he sort of thrives off it. But we need him to step up. Guys, get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think. Romelu Lukaku, he's gone to Inter. They've announced that. Marcus Rojo looks like he's on the verge of a move to Everton. When I woke up this morning, I was hoping that I'd be talking about players coming into Manchester United. I was hoping there'd be a twist in the tail and there maybe be a Mandzukic or a Bruno Fernandes, or just a surprise, a little surprise that we hadn't seen coming. We were bringing in a striker or a midfielder or a winger or someone that you perhaps weren't expecting. Now, I'm not saying I just want to see us buy anyone for the sake of it. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think in the past, we've done that. We've bought players just because they're available or because they're willing to come to Manchester United. I don't want us to do that. I want us to buy players that fit a position. But we at the minute, we're not buying anyone. And it's like, you look at it, and we're selling players. It's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, Lukaku's gone, okay. He wanted to go. You can argue he's not had a great time of it. I was talking about him earlier. The lads have been talking about him earlier. And you think, all right, he's going, you know what, we can live with that. But to not bring in someone to replace him does worry me a little bit, because all of a sudden you're looking at Mason Greenwood and he's gone like, all right, okay, yeah, he's a great player, he's a great young player. Is he someone who you'd expect to start 20 or 30 games next season? Is he someone who can replace a striker who scored 13 Premier League goals? For me, not really. Let us know in the comments who you think United will sign, who you think United should have signed, if you think United have done enough. Is anyone out there who actually thinks United can challenge this season? Does anyone think we've got a strong enough team, as it is, a strong enough squad to still challenge for the top four? Is anyone looking at it and think, you know what, we're being a bit negative? Someone's saying here, Mohammed saying Andy Tate should be the gaffer. You don't want that, trust me. Anyone else think that, listen, it's not as bad as we're all making out? Or is the collective, which is what I'm seeing, that United are just not done enough for this transfer window at all? News coming up here, Romelu Lukaku becomes the third most expensive signing by a Serie A club following his £74 million move to Inter Milan. Juventus pair Cristiano Ronaldo, 99 million, and Gonzalo Higuain, 75 million, are the top two. So Romelu Lukaku is the third most expensive Serie A signing ever. So if he's the third most expensive Serie A signing in the history of that league, he must have something about him. He must be a player who scores goals. He must be highly rated. He must be the sort of player that can do something for your team, basically get you lots of goals. Even at United, when he was struggling, at the end of last season, where he didn't have a good season at all, he still scored goals. He still got double figures. He still got a couple in Paris. He still got, I think, at 1.6 goals in 3 games, whatever it was. So Romelu Lukaku is a goal scorer. So you're selling him 74 million quid. Could you not invest some of that? Because let's not forget, we already bought Maguire, we already bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we already bought Daniel James. Those deals were done. So once those deals were done, could you not then say, right, that's okay, those deals are done. If we get rid of Lukaku, which might happen, we can buy someone, we can bring someone in. United must have known Lukaku was on the way out. They must have known they were there or thereabouts with Inter, and that he was on the verge of moving. Could they not have said, right, let's just invest that in a young striker, let's bring in someone, let's bring in a midfielder. And I think that would have, I think if United had bought one player today, I think there'd be a lot more positivity. I think that the problem is, to just buy no one is just it's just really disappointing. It's really deflating. After everything that's gone on this summer, all the time we sort of dragged our heels with the Aaron Wan-Bissaka deal. We know the Daniel James deal was going to take time. We knew that because obviously he lost his dad. That's nothing wrong with that in terms of waiting, giving him the time and the respect that he deserves, and to obviously deal, to come to terms with that. Then you move forward and you look at signing him. So that wasn't an issue. What was the issue was when it came to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we knew what Crystal Palace wanted. We knew how much we needed the player, and yet we dragged it out. We dragged it out for about 2 weeks, and it was just a bit of a joke, really, because by the time we got that deal done, then there's not much time left, or not as much time left at the transfer window. So what happens? We're trying to get the Harry Maguire deal done. We're trying to almost rush that. That doesn't get done as quickly as we want. We know that dragged out a little bit. We guess we get the deal done, but then that leaves you with what? A week left, and then all of a sudden it's all these deals apparently are coming in for Romelu Lukaku. It's like, oh yeah, wait a minute, we can get in Paulo Dybala, we can get in Mandzukic. There was even talk at one point of Douglas Costa. We can make all these deals happen with Juve for Romelu Lukaku, and we spend more time on it. And then, as if that's not bad enough, what happened on, was it Monday night? We had 12 hours I counted, of chasing Christian Eriksen. Of all of a sudden, we're going to get Christian Eriksen. And then 12 hours later, oh no, we're not going to get Christian Eriksen. Why all of a sudden in August did we decide we thought we could get Christian Eriksen? Christian Eriksen made it clear he wanted to leave Spurs. Spurs, at this current moment in time, are a stronger team than Manchester United. I'm not saying they're a bigger club, because they're not. They're a stronger team than Manchester United. They've just been in the Champions League final. Just got into a new stadium. They're in the Champions League this season. Now, he's made it clear he wanted to leave them. Did he make it clear he wanted to leave them because he's willing to come to Manchester United and do something here? Did he want it to be part of his project of moving Manchester United back to where they belong to be? I don't think he did. I think he wanted to move to Spain. I think that's what came out eventually. So why did everyone know that, except Manchester United, except the people in charge of Manchester United, who suddenly decided, oh, we'll tell you what we'll do. We'll try and get him. We'll try and get Christian Eriksen on Monday night. A bit bored. Let's get him in. Didn't happen, and then you just wasted more time. And this has been going on all transfer window. The problem is, United don't seem to be able to handle two deals at the same time. It's all been about sort of getting one deal done and then moving on, getting another deal done and moving on. There's not been a case of where you can get several deals done, almost one after the other. It's been a week on Aaron Wan-Bissaka, or 2 weeks I think it came to. It was about 11 days I think it roughly counted. That's how bad it was. I was counting down the days. Then it goes to, oh, now it's a week or 10 days or whatever on Harry Maguire, getting that deal done. And then by the end of all that, there's not much of the transfer window left. And you've got to remember as well that other clubs are going out there and making moves for players that you might have been interested in. When you're saying, oh, you know what, we're just focusing on that, maybe we'll go back to that deal later. That deal's already been done with someone else. There was talk at one point of us being in for Ndombele, and what happens? Spurs got in there. There was talk of us being in for Pepe. What happened? Arsenal got in there. So it's just not good enough. Just going into the comments, guys, let us know what you think. Are you happy with that? Anyone think anything is going to happen in the next, 20 odd minutes? Can't see it at all. Do you remember that last minute frenzy we had under David Moyes in his first transfer window, where there was all this talk of us bringing in, Khedira and Fabio Contral when the transfer window used to go up to 11 o'clock and we were trying to make moves at 10:30 and all the rest of it. Yeah, I don't think anything like that's going to happen. I mean, nothing did end up happening in that transfer window either, did it? I thought we brought in Marouane Fellaini, but does anyone think there's going to be anything happening today in this last 20 minutes? It's not, is it? Let's face facts. We're not going to see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer suddenly stood outside Old Trafford with a Manchester United shirt and Lionel Messi holding it. We're not going to do any more business. It's massively unlikely that anyone is going to come into Old Trafford between now and 5 o'clock this evening. My worry now is anyone going to go after 5 o'clock? Because we know that some players can still leave. After the transfer window in the Premier League shuts, it's possible that someone could go to Spain or Italy. Highly unlikely. I think Manchester United would face riots if someone like Paul Pogba left next week. But just don't know, man. It's just so deflating at the minute. You have to wonder what is going on with Manchester United, because every United fan we've spoken to was saying we need a midfielder. If we lose Lukaku, we need to bring in a striker. And we've not done that. We were talking about it on the podcast a few weeks ago, and I think it was Andy Tate and Gaz were saying that they actually could see Maguire being the last transfer deal. And it looks like it's true for United in terms of players coming in. Harry Maguire's come in, 26 minutes left. It very much looks like Harry Maguire is going to be the last signing for Manchester United this summer. Is that enough? Is there anyone out there who feels that Manchester United have got a strong enough team at the minute to compete? If you haven't checked it out already as well, you'll see it on our graphic. You'll see what we've been posting on Instagram and on Twitter and all the rest of it. Football Index, that's like... they've teamed up with us to support the channel. It's like, where you can, it's a cool game where you can where you can buy and sell players and all the rest of it, like a sort of transfer stock market. So have a look at that. You can see the description in the, you can see the link in the description. So check that out. That could be a way of when transfer dealings are doing, last minute transfer dealings are happening, players' values are going up and down. So do have a look at that on Football Index. Ben Yedder, that's a good point. Someone has mentioned there. Did anyone think that was going to happen? All of a sudden, we were linked within 1 minute. Ben Yedder's going to come in. People were saying, "Oh yeah, I remember him for Sevilla. Came on, scored a couple of goals against us. Yeah, he could be a good striker. Not the youngest player, but still got a bit of gas left in the tank. Yeah, get him in. Makes a little bit of sense. Nothing. Paulo Dybala. Then again, this sort of rumour started that it was going to be part of the Lukaku deal. Yeah, can he happen? Is that a transfer window move that we can see happening? No. Someone put here, Bale, lots of question marks. Listen, there was a time on a podcast a few weeks ago, so I'm going to hold my hands up, where I said I'd have took that Gareth Bale at Manchester United. But I did say on a loan deal. I said it's on a loan deal where if he gets injured or whatever, you can send him back. Then I haven't got a problem with that. I still think Gareth Bale can do a job. Problem with Gareth Bale is, I understand why the club didn't go for him, is that it's just those wages. You're looking at another player coming in on massive wages, another Asian player, another player who, no disrespect to Gareth Bale, he's won the lot, he's been at Real Madrid. You have to question, why would he be coming to Manchester United right in the Champions League? Probably for money, if we're being honest. I know Manchester United is still a massive club. For me, one of the biggest clubs in the world still. Probably in the top 3 clubs in the world, if not the top 5. Biggest English club in the world, certainly. But if you come into Manchester United in the current predicament, you probably come in, a big part of that is going to be money. Is that the sort of signing we want to be making, Gareth Bale coming in? When a lot of the players, from what we hear, weren't happy with the Sanchez deal. The fact that Alexis Sanchez came in, massive money, didn't start, didn't really live up to the expectation, was earning a lot more than all the other players, and then what happens when it's time for players to renew the contracts? They're looking at Alexis Sanchez. So when Marcus Rashford says, you know what, I want to sign a new deal, but I think it was an initial, 150k a week, going up to 250k. People were balking at that. People going, what's he asking for that for? Marcus Rashford plays every game for Manchester United. Alexis Sanchez doesn't. Alexis Sanchez earns a lot more not playing for Manchester United than Marcus Rashford earns playing for Manchester United. So that's where you get all the sort of the fallout about it. Players who are signing new deals, they want to be there or thereabouts. They want parity with the likes of Alexis Sanchez. So I can understand why we didn't see Gareth Bale coming here. I think he's one of those players that you think, we don't get him, probably for the best. If you got him, you get a little bit excited because it's Gareth Bale. We know what he can do. But not really the sort of moves that United are looking at making. We brought in young players. Daniel James is a young, up-and-coming player. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 21 years old. Harry Maguire, okay, he's not young, but he's certainly got a few years left in him. Gareth Bale coming towards the end of his career. At one point, it looked like he was going to go to China, didn't it? That didn't happen. Guys, get involved in the comments. What do you think about United's transfer business? What do you think? What do you think about the fact that Marcus Rojo's gone? Is anyone disappointed? Does anyone feel that, I was talking to Gaz about this earlier, that selling Marcus Rojo to Everton, we may look at that and regret it a little bit, because Everton, strengthening, Everton, we know what they're capable of. They beat us 4-0 at the end of last season. They're not that far away from us in terms of where they're at in strength and depth and all the rest of it. Should we be selling one of our players to a club or to a team that is our rivals? And people don't like me when I say that. People criticise me saying Everton are our rivals, Liverpool are our rivals, City are our rivals, Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal and all the rest of it. You've got to be a little bit honest and say, you look at Everton, they're not that far away from us. Helping them in any way, shape or form could be a mistake. Yes, we should be looking higher than just finishing above Everton, and I do. I want United to be challenging for titles, but you have to have a little bit of realism, and you have to say, is it a case of, yeah, Everton are one of the teams that are going to be challenging for the same sort of positions we are, so we shouldn't be strengthening them. Is that something we should be looking at? Am I the only one that thinks that? Do people think, you know what, Marcus Rojo, he's been at the club for what? Louis van Gaal brought him in, didn't he? About, what was that, 5 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago? Hasn't really got going for him. I mean, there was a problem when we bought him. We couldn't even get him over here at first because of the work permit. Then we did get him over here. Sort of played it. When you watch him, you love watching Marcus Rojo. I love Marcus Rojo when he plays. Flies into challenges, fearless, sort of played it, gets you off your seat, a defender, does like tackles, gets away with a lot as well. He's been quite lucky to not have more red cards in his United career. But the problem is he plays that sort of game and he injures himself a lot. He's constantly needing treatment. He's constantly not being able to be picked. And when you've got someone like Marcus Rojo and Eric Bailly, who also, I think he's on the treatment table as we speak, he's a player that got injured in pre-season, you can't afford to have two defenders who could be your first choice if they were both fit every week. They could quite easily be your first choice centre-back pairing if they were fit, but they're never fit. You can't afford to have them both in your squad because you just can't rely on them. So you looked elsewhere. We brought in Harry Maguire, and it looks like Marcus Rojo is the player that's going to make way. We were talking about this because he played a lot pre-season. He actually did okay in pre-season. I thought he played well. He played well against AC Milan. He's had some good games, again reminding us of what he's capable of. But a lot of the lads were saying, you know what, he's getting picked for one reason and one reason alone. That's to put him in the shop window. That's because all he knows, teams will be looking at him thinking, okay, he's fit, he can still do his job. Yeah, we know what he's capable of. I think he's 29 years old, so he's not, he's not at the end of his career. He's got at least, you'd expect 2 or 3 years left in him at the top flight if he can stay fit. I know it's a big if with Marcus Rojo. Everton have obviously looked at him and Marco Silva fancies him. Makes a little bit of sense that, well, not makes a little bit of sense, makes a lot of sense, I suppose, for them. Does it make sense for Manchester United? Is anyone really going to miss Marcus Rojo? Is anyone going to think we've made a mistake there? Someone here, Zach, I think he's saying 7th/8th. Guys, let us know in the comments. Where do you see Manchester United finishing? Do you see Manchester United finishing higher than we finished last season? Last season, the wheels came off in a massive way at the end of the season. They didn't start too great. We know what happened. Jose got sacked. I think we were 10 points off 4th or whatever it was. Ollie came in, went on that amazing run, record-breaking winning run away from home. We had that great night as well in the Champions League. We had some big nights as well in the FA Cup, got to the quarterfinals. Then 2 wins out of the last 12. It was drastic. Drawing away at Huddersfield, losing at Cardiff, wasn't great. Then you look at it now, this season, this summer, you expected us to go big in a transfer window. You expected us to bring in at least, everyone was expecting at least 4 or 5 players, I think. Didn't happen. We brought in 3 good players, 2 first-team players, 1 who you'd expect to be there or thereabouts over the next few years. Is that enough though? Defensively, yeah, we're great, looking solid now. I'm actually happy with our defence, but attacking wise, where are we? Where are we in the midfield? Midfield wise, we're probably weaker in the midfield than we are weaker in the midfield because we've lost Ander Herrera and we haven't replaced him. Striker wise, we've lost Romelu Lukaku, and yeah, we know Mason Greenwood, what he's capable of, but he's still only 17 years old. Is it fair to expect Mason Greenwood to come into this side now with the pressure on him, knowing that we've lost Romelu Lukaku and that we're hoping that Mason Greenwood can come in and almost make up for the loss of Romelu Lukaku? Because Romelu Lukaku, no matter what you think about him, I think his record, is it 40 odd goals for Manchester United in about 90 games? It's a decent return, that. I know a lot of it was in his first season where he was banging him in. He had that sort of purple patch when he arrived, and he had a bit of a drought, and he had another purple patch, and he got himself up to 27 goals, I think, in all competitions. Can we see the same next season from Mason Greenwood? No, he's not going to get you 27 goals or whatever, but can he contribute? Can he do enough to bring that tally up? Can he do enough, to make up for the loss of Romelu Lukaku? I don't really know. Guys, let us know in the comments. Gareth has said, if we're lucky, 5th. Where do you think we're going to finish? Gareth thinks 5th. If we're lucky, I think he's being pretty realistic there. It's very difficult. Just to looking through, we've got a board up in the background here of some of the teams are top flight teams, the English teams, and some of the business they've been doing. And if you look at Rodri's coming to City. That was a right back that filled that position that we all were crying out for. Everyone was saying how Ashley Young at right back, 33-year-old converted winger, not good enough and all the rest of it. But what has happened? What is happening here now? It looks as though as well, Adam McCullough, he was going to join us. He's been stuck in a bit of traffic. We will be throwing over to him at 5 o'clock. I'm going to keep you going until 5, and then Adam McCullough will throw over to him. He'll be on a separate stream. He'll give you his thoughts. You know what Adam McCullough's like, yeah. He was going to try and get down to the studio, but unfortunately he's stuck in Manchester traffic. We know what that's like. He's been at Old Trafford, so he'll be stuck somewhere on Chester Road probably trying to get here. So after this stream finishes at around 5 o'clock, when the transfer deadline day ends, we're going to throw to another one, to Adam McCullough. He's going to give you the reaction. When it's all done and it's dusted, and we know for a fact that Manchester United are not buying anyone else in this transfer window, you can have Adam McCullough, so you can chat to him, you can let him know what your thoughts are, and believe me, he'll have a lot to say on this, because I think he was being pretty realistic. He did think it was going to be unlikely that we'd bring anyone in, but the fact we've sold Lukaku, the fact we've sold, it looks as though we're going to sell Marcus Rojo, and we're not bringing anyone in. It is a bit frustrating. People were talking about net spend before. Net spend, what? What is the net spend? 45 million, someone said? Not great. 45 million pound net spend when you finished the season 32 points behind your rivals. That is pretty shocking. Guys, let us know what you think of this. Let us know what you think of Manchester United's transfer business. Whether you're happy or you're not, just let us know. Get involved in the comments. You know what we think. We're a bit disappointed that we've not gone out and bought a midfielder. We're a bit frustrated that we've sold Romelu Lukaku and not bought a striker. And it's a lot of pressure on the likes of Mason Greenwood, on the likes of Angel Gomez. We love these players, we rate these players. But is this the season where they're going to be playing 20 or 30 games at 18, 17 years old, 19 years old? It's a lot to ask of him. Let us know what you think. You can see as well, we've got the Football Index banner there as well. Football Index, if you don't know what that is, it's like a stock market game for players where you can buy and sell players and make money when their value goes up. If it does go up, use that football knowledge to make yourself a few quid. So check that out. There's a link in the description. Going back to United's business, are they making any money? Yes, they are, really, because we've not really spent, have we? Our net spend of £45 million isn't what we were hoping for this season. I remember after I think it was a Huddersfield game, and I was doing the full-time J. If you know, watch Full-Time Devils, you'll know what we do there. We do a reaction after the game, and I was doing it and I went on a bit of a rant. I was frustrated at what I'd just seen. I was angry at the fact that our rivals were doing so well and we were struggling to beat. See, we couldn't even beat a team like Huddersfield, one of the worst Premier League teams I've ever seen. And I was like, we need to go out, we need to spend 200, 300, 400 million this summer. We need to do Real Madrid. Just go out there and absolutely smash it in the transfer window. Unrealistic, I get it. But I thought United would go big this summer. I hoped, United would go big this summer. And what happened? Nothing. Nothing really. We started doing bits. Yep, we sorted our defence. Brought it out with Wan-Bissaka. Daniel James, good up and young coming player. Young and up and coming player, I should say. Yeah, Harry Maguire. Yeah, I was happy with all those signings. It made sense. But you look at it and you think, right, okay. You look at where we're at. Look at where our rivals are at. We need to strengthen in midfield. We need to strengthen in attack if we are going to lose Romelu Lukaku. If you're going to take 40-odd goals out of the Manchester United attack, then you need to replace it with 40-odd goals. Is that going to happen? That's 40-odd Manchester United career goals, by the way. I know we didn't get 40-odd goals last season. Just looking at the comments now, Mourinho must be happy he left United. Probably is. Probably looking at this and laughing. I think you probably looked at it, when we brought in Harry Maguire, he'd been frustrated because apparently Mourinho was a fan of Harry Maguire and wanted him last summer, but we didn't get him. And he probably thought, why, they've brought in Harry Maguire now as a player I wanted. He's probably a bit angry about that. But he's probably looking at it now and thinking, looking at what the other clubs have done, looking at where United are at, and he's probably glad he got out of it. This is the sort of thing he had to deal with. Last summer, we brought in Fred, we brought in Diogo Dalot, and we brought in Lee Grant. That season, we finished 19 points behind City, and a lot of fans, myself included, were really frustrated. City went out and bought Riyad Mahrez, and they went and broke their transfer record, and we spent roughly the same. You don't catch up someone who's 19 points ahead of you by spending the same as they do. You need to spend more than they do. You need to invest in better players, and we just didn't do that. We brought in a midfielder that obviously the manager didn't want because he didn't play him. We brought in a young, unproven fullback who I think Dalot is a good player, but he wasn't going to come in the team and suddenly make us title winners. And then you brought in Lee Grant, who's a third choice goalkeeper, so he almost doesn't count. So you brought in those players and you thought, right, what is going on here? That's obviously not enough. We struggled Jose obviously spat his dummy out. He made a big point of playing 3 at the back. Scott McTominay was playing in defence. Ander Herrera was playing in defence. He was obviously making a statement that, you know what, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with the fact we didn't buy a defender. So I'm going to play 3 at the back to sort of prove a point. It didn't work. Backfired. He got sacked. Ollie comes in just before January. Let's not forget that. Yes, I think Jose had to go because it was pretty disastrous towards the end. He fell out with everyone. It wasn't really working. Even though I was a Jose fan, I could see why he had to go. Just before the January transfer window. Now, if he'd have stayed, there's no doubt in my mind we'd have bought someone in January. I'm positive about that. Maybe it would have been a Maguire. Maybe we would have gone all out for Koulibaly. But we would have bought a defender in. But the board got rid of him. Woodward got rid of him in December. January comes round. Ollie's on this amazing run. Keeps winning matches. We didn't buy anyone. No one really kicked off about that. No one really said, can't believe we haven't bought anyone. Because we're having this amazing run. Winning games left, right and centre. This record-breaking run away from home. We were doing bits in the Cup, FA Cup, go away to Chelsea, go away to the Emirates. We looked like we turned a corner, and I'm sick of saying that. I've been saying that since David Moyes' era, but it did. It looked really positive. Everyone sort of ignored the fact we hadn't bought anyone in January and thought, okay, maybe Ollie's cracked it. Maybe we don't need to buy anyone. We had that fantastic night in Paris as well. It looked like this was a team where he was going to give youth the chance. The likes of Gomez and Chong and all the rest of it, and Greenwood. Maybe they can get involved. Maybe this, maybe Jose was wrong. Then the wheels come off. Out of our last 12 games, we win 2. We go to Huddersfield, arguably bottom 3 Premier League teams of all time. Terrible Premier League team. No respect to them, but they were. They were miles away from Premier League level. We draw. Cardiff, already relegated, come to Old Trafford, they win. And you look at it and you think, this just isn't good enough. What is the issue? People were saying it's fatigue. They couldn't play the system that Ollie wanted to play. They weren't fit enough for it to play it throughout the season. There was an over-reliance on Marcus Rashford. He was being played when he was injured. I get all that. I understand it. I can sort of agree with some of it. But you look at it and you think, we have to go out in the summer and spend. City won the domestic treble. The Scousers won the Champions League. You look at it and you think, right, we have got to spend. Arsenal and Chelsea, both in the Europa League final. I know we may look at that and think it's only Europa, but it showed you that this was a pretty strong league. Spurs in the Champions League final. When does that ever happen? Never. All the other English teams were looking like they had something to brag about and looking quite strong. We didn't. So you think we've got to go out in the summer and spend. Ollie at one point said, I want all my transfer business done by July the 3rd. By the time the club set off, the team set off for pre-season, I want all my transfer business done. No. Didn't happen. Didn't even look like remotely happening at any time. So you say, all right, maybe he's just saying that to light a fire. Also, towards the end of last season, he said, it's going to be a struggle, it's going to be a fight. Some of the players here aren't up for it or won't be around. Now, when he said that, did I think that would be Herrera, Lukaku and Rojo? Maybe the last two. Maybe you could argue Lukaku. Herrera always looked up to it to me. Was a first-team player under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, played every game under Ole when he was fit. We've not replaced him. Lukaku's gone, we've not replaced him. Rojo, okay, you think we have replaced him in a way because we brought in Harry Maguire. But are we any stronger than we were last season? No, we're not. In my opinion, defensively, yeah. Midfield, no. Matic is just lucky, he looks gone. We lost Herrera. Attacking-wise, we're taking out a load of goals in Romelu Lukaku, and we're entering the great unknown in terms of how ready the likes of Mason Greenwood are for the first team. Are Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford going to kick on this season? I think they will. I think between the two of them, they can get 40 goals this season. People have been laughing about that, but that's what I think. But we're still lacking. We're still taking experienced first-team players out of the team, out of the squad, and not replaced them. And that's just not good enough. Someone here said it's been a horrible window. It has. When you look at it, and you saw it a few weeks ago, Arsenal reportedly had 40 million quid to spend. We were all laughing at that. I was like, they ain't going to do anything with 40 million quid. But they've gone out, they've spent money, they had money. It was a con, it was a lie. So they've gone out and they've brought in the likes of Pepe and Tierney and all the rest of it. You look at Spurs. Spurs didn't buy anyone last summer. Everyone used to look at it and go, oh, well, Mourinho's moaning that he's not had any money to spend, but he's spent more than Spurs and they're doing all right. Spurs have gone out and they've done some business this transfer window. They've brought in the likes of Sessegnon, they've brought in the likes of Ndombele. City have gone out and spent 63 million quid on Rodri. 58 million quid deal on Cancelo with Danilo going the other way. they've made massive signings. And this is a club that finished, a team that finished, what, 30 odd points ahead of us, sorry, I wish it was behind us. So you've just got to look at it and think, it's just not good enough. Someone's saying, moaning and all the rest of it, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason that we're not happy. We're not happy because a lot of the fans here in the comments aren't happy because we expected a bit more. And we didn't expect to be losing players on the transfer deadline day and not bringing anyone in. I was hoping to be sat here now, wrapping up the transfer deadline day, saying, you know what, United have brought in a last minute Bruno Fernandes or whoever, maybe a Mandzukic, even someone like that. I'd have been sat here, I'd have been buzzing. I'd have been happy. But it's just not happening. And what have we got left now? Looking at it, we've got 2 minutes. So unless we have the maddest 2 minutes in the history of Manchester United, we ain't going to bring anyone in. It's not going to happen. And now we have to, you know what the bad thing is now? Now we have to look at it and we have to say, right, we've not brought anyone in, but the Italian and the Spanish transfer windows are still open. So do we have to look over our shoulder? Is there anyone going to be coming in for like Paul Pogba or trying to attempt him or whatever? Is that going to happen? I don't think it will, but it's going to be a long couple of weeks. But it has got a little bit better because you think I'm moaning, I'm an amateur. I'm an amateur at this.
What's going on?
Yeah, I tell you what.
What's the beauty of No, don't take your mic off. Don't take your mic off, Jay.
Macca, help me, man.
All
just
right.
like.
I've just been with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher talking loads.
See what I mean?
Gary Neville told me off for interrupting him.
Did he?
Yeah.
Listen, you've not lived right if you've not been told off by Gary Neville. I've been told off by Gary Neville for asking too many questions.
I believe what we're doing, what I'm here for right now, is we're doing a review of the transfer window. So not only have we got your deadline day malarkey right now, this is going to end soon.
Yeah.
Because the transfer window closes in a matter of seconds. So once the window closes, we are going live yet again for the review show with myself, and we're going to give this man a little break.
Yeah,
Got in
man.
it.
Do you know what? I thought I was going to be sat here, Macca, saying, yes, can you believe it? We've brought in, we've done an amazing deal for Lionel Messi and Ronaldo's coming back home and all the rest of it. But I'm sat here going, yeah, Marcus Rojo's gone to Everton.
Has he gone?
Last thing we heard, that looked like it was about to happen. I saw the Blue Room podcast was saying that it looked like it was on the verge of it. We'll keep you updated on that, see whether that deal got over the line. But yeah, Lukaku we know is gone. We said that though, didn't we?
He said, I only ever wanted to go one place. Yeah, sure you did. You were very ready to go Juventus.
Go Juventus last week. Listen, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks for getting involved in the comments.
See you in 2 minutes.
2 minutes, Macca's going to be on. Thanks for your support. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. Check you soon. Macca's going to be here. Adam McCullough coming up soon with the transfer deadline day review, where he'll be giving you all his thoughts on what has gone down for Manchester United. Thanks for watching.